changed the microphone settings starting with this stream, so levels are gonna be weird compared to what I've been doing before. So Beast in the East 9 was held last weekend. So I've been literally preparing for months, trying to polish and expand my mystery gaming setup best I can to make it fancy and enticing to people who want to invite me to their event. And so I went through the trouble of recording it all, doing the best one person can do while juggling, organizing a tournament, engaging with the chat, and making sure the results are recorded properly. I never actually tried streaming on laptop before, so I copied most of my OBS settings and layout to a portable OBS running on my laptop, and it ran better than expected. But there's one big omission in the recording, and that's any audio from the crowd. So, I was hoping that the microphone built into the webcam, I have that up there in the top right, would be enough. The audio is totally worthless, and I didn't have a replacement. What I should do next year is get that TV, and the TV I borrowed, and raise it up 6 inches, so I can get my little portable microphone, a Zoom H1, and then use that. And even then I need to get a proper stand for it, because all I have is a really flimsy $5 tripod, and I don't really trust it for arcade controller right next to it. It'll tip over and I won't be able to fix it without disturbing them. So I need to get a microphone stand, because I don't want to have a microphone covering up the screen at all. That's distracting. Maybe I worry too much though. What I really need is a second dude. I actually had some help I could have asked. I asked him if they could help me with something earlier that Saturday, and they weren't able to, so I didn't want to disturb them anymore. That's my excuse anyway. Okay, so I had 32 people signed up, and that's cap. But only 24 checked in. Actually 25, but one dropped out later. So it was actually 24. So I also wasn't able to get a second webcam, and the first barely worked, because I wanted to have another camera look straight down at the controls, so they can see the wheel they're spinning. I'll have to just remember that for next time. Also because I didn't have a lot of USB ports on my laptop. I could just get a hub, but I didn't test that. I didn't think to. That's a lot of the problems was... A lot of the problems I had was... the solutions were... I didn't think of it until after it was over. Good thing it's only the third big, huge Mystery Games tournament. It's technically the fourth, because I ran another one at the DC Open Reichi tournament back in May. But that was not officially a big, huge Mystery Games tournament. That was just a side thing they asked me to do, which I did at my own expense, and I can't afford to do that anymore. So I want more people to hire me to do this, and this commentary I'm doing is supposed to help with that. So let's watch the video. Ryudo. I've been doing this for close to 9 years now. Well, I'm really stretching it when I say that, but... yeah. So there's the people, you can see them preparing, and so one kind of last minute thing I did that I knew was going to be really important was you can see inside the recording there in the middle on the right side is a running log of the games that get launched. I had to hire some JavaScript that reads a file continuously, and once it gets to a certain length starts scrolling, because I don't know JavaScript. For various reasons, I should not share that code, even though it's not all that complicated. So I had the Last Blade 2 in here, which I don't know a lot about. I know one thing about Last Blade 1 is, if you don't know what to do in Last Blade 1, pick Yuki, pick speed type, do the speed combo, and you'll probably win. And they made sure that doesn't happen even by accident in this game. Not much reason to pick Yuki anymore. But I get the impression there's more people playing Last Blade 2 over 1. Probably because of Yuki. It's like Yukio in Samurai Showdown 2. She's too good. The difference is I actually like her character. Because Yuki happened to be my first pick for Last Played 1, and turns out she's really, really good there. Let's go here. I wouldn't know who I would use here. Even though I don't have audio of the crowd, which probably wouldn't have been that good anyway, because we were next to DDR, and they're always really loud. Because I was sitting off to the side. I was like turned 90 degrees from them. So I had to either watch... Like, you can't see me. I'm off to the right of... I'm off to the left side of player 1 up there. Watching it. You can't see me, but I'm waving red and white flags. Which I didn't even really need to. But if I have a guy recording the scores for me, if I get my own staff, I'm going to use that to make sure the correct scores are recorded. There's the flags. You can see in my hand there. So, after game 1, I allow the loser to choose between rematching that same game or picking a new one. Every single time in this tournament, they always picked a new one. Yeah, and me waving the flags to declare the winner, I don't think ever got on camera. There was one guy, though, who actually did get about a minute of footage, and they posted it on Twitter, of showing the cards being spun and then being launched. I got the permission to use it when I do my blog post. Either later this week or next week. You can see the comments there too. One person compares it to multi-bowl. I looked into multi-bowl like last month, and I knew about it for a long time but never actually did real research on it. And multi-bowl is... what it actually does is does a lot of MAME Lua scripting as far as I can tell. Except when it does fighting games, it's in the middle of a match, meaning both players already have their characters chosen and it's not even a mirror match. So it's asymmetrical, which I don't like. So in the chat, I described it as the midpoint between Bishibashi and Mortal Kombat. Because rounds are longer, you only have seconds to figure out what it is you're supposed to do. But at least it's, to the fullest extent, I can actually make it fair. I just say it's like Mortal Kombat for comedy. So you're allowed to pick your character and you take your responsibility for that. If you can't pick your character, then at least there's minor, if any, differences between player 1 and player 2. And if I can't do that, then I don't run it at all. I don't know anything at all about King of Fighters 11. Except what I've heard about it is that the people who play King of Fighters 11 don't play any other King of Fighters. And I see why. I was thinking about running the PS2 version because PS2 is easier to emulate, but apparently it added characters who aren't legal, so that's out. How is my audio levels? They're different now. On the stream you're watching. Everything should be louder. Because I always try to normalize it to about minus 12? But the thing to do is actually get it to minus 0.1. Okay. I also had to do a lot of normalization on this recording. It turns out some of the levels were actually too loud, and I think there's at least one game with the audio clips. Because I got, for capturing this video, the B-Link SCR5 PC has two HDMI outs. One of them is plugged into a television, and the other one is plugged to like one of those like $20 HDMI capture deals you find on Amazon. Which actually does pretty well. There's only a little bit of lag. You see lots of tearing though, and I can't tell if that's because the capture device being $20 or so, or the fact that I have VSync forced off to minimize input lag. It's probably either one or the other, but it might be both. Because I used to have a Elgato USB-C deal, but I sold it. Because I have internal capture card now, it does everything I need to. That thing can capture in 4K. So here's another issue that just happens with mystery games. Lots of timeouts happen in games you never see them. Because they don't know how to do damage, and why would they when they're playing the game for the first time? So the overlay you can see on the top, I added that in post. I tried to update the score number on the first frame where it's applicable. The frame that the round ends. Probably didn't need to do that. All I know about the leader mechanic is that they get more damage. That's all I'm aware the leader does. So it's 1-1. On game 3, you always have to reroll, because the goal is to show off as many games as possible. 58 games got played, and I prepared more than 200. A lot of it's all contingency, though. But the advice I always heard was, start with actual good games to warm everybody up, then you can put your weird variety stuff in the middle. I forgot what I'm supposed to do in the end. But I'm still following that advice. Maybe I should loosen up. But one thing I don't want to do is let games run for too long. I actually timed these, and while no game ran more than 5 minutes, I always get really nervous that I'm gonna lose the crowd if I go more than 4. And that happened a couple of times where I just got really, you know, I'm just begging for somebody to win a round. Because I only have 3 hours. I specifically asked Beast in the East people if I could have a 3-hour block, and they gave it to me. And even then, I ran 20 minutes over. Although, to be fair, that's because I started 15 minutes late. Because I was told a lot of people are running back and forth between tournaments, which is another unavoidable reality of these things. So even though I had 32 signups, 24 checked in. And 2 people dropped out in the middle of the bracket, which also always happens. Honestly, I just feel relieved when someone drops out because it means the tournament will go faster. That's my #1 priority. Is player turnaround. Or, was it? Turnover. Anyway, Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. The Japan version was the very first fighting game I was ever able to take seriously. There's this really good YouTube tutorial in 2009 that explained fighting game fundamental knowledge and skills in a way that even I was able to understand it. And they did it through Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, which only had 3 attack buttons. Like medium heavy. I had a lot of false starts trying to get into it, all kinds of stuff. Starting with SNES Street Fighter 2, which both of my brothers, they got into it really easily. I didn't. And I couldn't figure out why, and they weren't willing to help me. Lots of attempts to get into it since then, like X-Men vs. Street Fighter that my older brother imported for Sega Saturn. And then you got Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. And then I learned about Dojin games and played Melty Blood, didn't know what I was doing, and because I had 2 older brothers. Me and my older brother, because this is my second older brother, is the one with the Saturn. He never let us touch any of the consoles. Didn't trust us. My oldest brother. Then I got Melty Blood, and neither of us, me and my first older brother, neither of us knew what we were doing. Mostly because we had to play on keyboard, which is also how we played ZSNES games. I was on K, N, M, and comma, and then my older brother used the arrow keys. I think the first emulator uses actually No Cash GMB, Game Boy emulator, to play Pokemon Green version, right before Red and Blue came out in America. I remember that, but I don't remember how or when I got it. Should be commenting on the game. And there's a throttle. I don't know when or why it happens, but on this PC, the PC I run this on, every so often it'll just slow down to a crawl for about 1 second. I've done everything I could think of to try to fix it, I just can't. Only thing left is either reinstall Windows and start over from scratch, or get a better PC. Get an SCR9. Which I'd like... Oh, this is overhead. How could the guy have known? That's 2. And it's also single elimination. It's not ideal, but it was the only practical solution. Because it's that or cap to 16. But if I kept the 16, then... Because given that I had 32 signups and 24 showed up, if I kept the 16, do a double elim, I might only get like 12 players. Because what I wanted to do was... I was expecting to have to use a waitlist, but I didn't. Because I was expecting to, what I thought was going to happen is that I have all 32 players show up, because I still don't know any better, despite having run tournaments for years now. And then, with the waitlist, once people start dropping out and failing to appear for their matches for one reason or another, I was gonna let people from the audience come up and play exhibitions. As in, let the guy who actually appeared advance no matter what, and they just play a game. Just to do something. That actually happens one time. So, this is a ROM hack of Fighters History Dynamite called Karnov's Revenge Revolution. So you can see here, the character sprites are shown here in character select so you can see your palette, because they added a bunch of palettes. It also changes a lot of mechanics, and also allows Karnov and Clown Stage to be selected randomly in verses. But it also has some weird desperation mechanic that I don't fully understand, and there's zero chance that the players in Mystery Gaming is gonna find on their own. Actually, I don't know what the match looks like for Karnov versus Ray in the regular game. I assume it's 6-4, but not for who. If I was to play this game seriously, I would play Lee. But, I don't play mini fighting games. Okay, Ray Player was trying something there. And apparently it's discovered that Karnov's balloon is fully invincible. Attempting punishes and didn't go.
Karnov wins!
So you can see in the comment there, symmetrical FHD, he wasn't kidding. I was not kidding about me trying everything I can to make it symmetrical. Because Karnov's Revenge infamously has player 2 getting, I think, 1 frame advantage. Which for a game with this level of execution is significant. To the point where real tournaments have the players toss a coin or do paper, scissors, rock to determine who gets to be player 2. And that got fixed in this ROM hack. And that alone is enough for me to look into it and play it over the regular one. Even though I will go nowhere near the level of skill where that becomes an issue for me, I don't like knowing it's there. Same with Sailor Moon. But for Sailor Moon, I'm running the Big Zam hack. I don't know if it actually fixes that, because I'm pretty sure it didn't change any of the balance whatsoever except delete 1 character. And I mention this now because it did not come up in this tournament, unfortunately. So, in the instructions here, you can't see the instructions, but I have one button highlighted in green, says confirm. And I tell them, you only press that button because if you press anything else, you'll exit to the main menu and waste everybody's time. And I knew that was going to happen at least once. And it happens here. So you even entered the wrong mode. So I just pulled the card out and I got it back inside. That's guaranteed to happen because they pressed B. You know, light kick. You're supposed to press A on the Super Nintendo controller, which is heavy kick in this game. Well, you can also press Y, light punch. I tell them to press that, but they pressed the one button they weren't supposed to. I was prepared to flip my lid when it happened. Then it happened for the 3rd time. But that's the only time it happened the whole tournament. I printed out informational sheets about the setup and I pasted it on either side. And I said there, if you get lost, just pull out the card and put it back in, or press the button, exit the game, and go back inside. And that's what I had to do here. I knew I was gonna have to because it's happened before. So I made it explicit. And a lot of the instruction sheets don't have a confirm button, which means you can press any button. And the thing is, the ROM hack actually added that exit feature. And you can't turn it off. Because in the original game, you can't. You just reset the game. Which is inconvenient, except in tournament settings like this. Where you actually want to be sure they can't exit. Come on, dudes. Anyway, I would also run C Shredder in this game if I played it. Because I like the funny noises he makes on his throw. Alright, edited out about 2 minutes of waiting for someone to appear. Because, I said that it takes 3 hours. It started at... Because the tournament was scheduled to begin at around 6. I started at closer to 6:15. Because I wanted to give people time to show up and Really shouldn't. I made it explicit about what time they start. And it ended at like 9:20 p.m. Eastern. But this video I'm watching is 2 hours and 58 minutes after deleting a lot of the downtime. So I actually was 3 hours. Anyway, this is... I always joke that I wanted to see a fighting game where the characters aren't named and the community has to decide on what the characters' names are. And this is probably the closest we'll get to that. Because the only place you actually see character names is in the versus screen. You don't see them on character selected, you don't see them in game. But you can easily miss it. And even if you see it, you'll probably forget what your character's name is unless you play this game more than once. Because in the attract mode, I have a... hang on. Yeah, there's motions here. I don't remember what they are. Also, this is a first to one game because your life bar is four bars long. How come no one's ever attempted another fighting game like this? I know you have to sacrifice a lot, like crouching and lows, to make this work. Killed at the pursuit, how embarrassing. You can see the wheels sometimes in the camera. I need to get a second camera and I need to figure out how I'd put it in the layout. But I don't have a guy, I don't have a programming director to change camera angles. I do all this myself. And since I'm doing all this myself, I'm stretching myself thin and I made some errors. You'll see them throughout. Anyway, this is one of the first 16 games. The Saturn port of Virtua Fighter 2. I know there's a PS3 version, but I don't like doing PS3 emulation. It's a pain installing anything. I had to get another guy to help me with PS3 stuff. He gave me the hookup. Because I also have Tekken Tag Tournament 2. And I was not told until Friday afternoon that my installation is missing DLC characters. I thought I got them all. Because I've actually run Tag 2 before, but nobody complained until only this weekend. Thankfully, someone who knows PS3 stuff much better than me, who I actually know, because I've known him for a decade now, he got that fixed up for me. But Tekken Tag 2 didn't come up anyway, so maybe next time. Also, the interlacing is inherent to the Saturn version, and I checked, and the Saturn emulator does not allow bypassing the interlacing, so we just have to deal with this picture. There's at least one other game with this has the same problem. Apparently they wanted to port Virtua Fighter 3 to Saturn, but it just wasn't gonna happen. And then the Dreamcast version came out and it has all kinds of issues. Yeah, people rent it anyway because no other real port of Virtua Fighter 3 for a long time. And it's in Flycast. I haven't looked into it myself though. Lots of wake-up circulars. I don't know Virtua Fighter that well. I'd like to, but what can you... How do you, what are your other wake-up options besides the wake-up? The circular?
Ready, go!
Yeah, there's the... Yeah, there's that if you just smash the guard button. I don't know who I would run, because... Probably mentioned this before, my favorite Virtua Fighter character is Aoi, and she's one of the hardest characters to use overall. And this is the problem I have with with games like this. The character design I like the most is the hardest to use. It just happens a lot with me. So what I should have done here is, at the very least, get my portable microphone and my lav.
Let's go.
Because I have a clip-on lavalier. I could have used that and at least recorded myself. I didn't think to do that though. Because I've used it before. I've had a Zoom H1. I've had it for like 15 years at this point, and it still works. As I was told in film school, Zoom microphones are the only ones you need. What I should actually get was one of those wireless Rode microphones. Those like $100. I know a guy who uses those, and they last at least 4 hours. Anyway, Battle K Road. I remember for a long time I had a really bad reputation, and in hindsight, why? It was trying something different, and it was punished for it. So what if there's a forced reset position upon a knockdown? That's different. Anyway, I forget who the top tier is. Was it the Terminators or the Sumo Wrestlers? It was one of them. I also just love that they basically got movie archetypes. Like the white man karate guys that you see in movies. And they're actually serious competitors, which I like. Of course, the white guy would be the one pushing karate that hard. There's another time skip. So 5-6 Taka here. Someone came into my chat for the first time to cheer on 5-6 Taka. I don't know if this guy is like a known entity, but they helped a lot. Like, they helped me personally, looking for players out in the field, refilling my water, that kind of thing. Anyway, Zero Divide 2, this game's extremely cool, and I need to play it more. I need to find someone to play it with. I need to go through all the characters, find the main. Zero feels like a safe choice, though. It's really unfortunate how, because Zero Divide 1 came out in America, and they didn't, and Zero Divide 2, the far superior version, didn't come out in America because no one liked the first game, and therefore no one wanted another. Europe got it, though. But they got it after Tekken. They got it right around the time Tekken 3 came out, so... RIP. Mostly, like, I'm not even, like, big on robots like this. I just like the way it feels. Also, you're allowed to mess with the enemy after you win a round. Their controls are locked and you're allowed to mess with them. So now the thing is scrolling. Also, player 2 is named Black Justin. One of my best friends is named White Josh. Oh yeah. It's because I have another friend named Josh and he's not white. Yeah. White Josh was not able to make it to Beast in the East this year. Beat it, nerd!
Ready, go.
I missed that the first time. It's perfectly timed. Yeah, this sure looks like first time Zero Divide gameplay. It's lots of back and forth, trying to figure out how to do anything. I need to look up what high level play looks like. Probably looks like Virtua Fighter with more stuff exploding. Or fighting vipers.
Zero, win.
There was one point later where DJ Tatsujin asked to look at the card wheel, so I show it on camera, forgetting that I don't have audio. Biggest revenge. Now, I don't know this game that well, but I know enough to say that I know enough to tell people who don't know: pick a top tier, pick show, And that's what 5-6 Taka does.
Round one.
Well, I think it was one of the first people that actually showed the tournament right after signups for it opened up. Can you clarify how Breakers saved your ass at MagFest? Because I've told the story before, but in Beast of the East 3, 2018, I brought, I think that was the year I brought my PVM, and I had an earlier version of my arcade stick, and I set up Breaker's Revenge for them. Hours passed, and they're still playing it right up until they closed for the night. And then I take it, I pack my stick up, and I opened up the inside to put the cords in, and the restrictor gates have snapped in too. They went in that hard on it. That's how much they love our game. That's how much they enjoyed playing on my setup. It actually made me happy to see that they destroyed my property, because they loved the game that much. And they were good at the game too to play it, because the battle counter was maxed out at 99. With that said, I play Ryla. I say that as if I play this game at all. Charge characters feel good here. I'm a good at video games friend to other people around here. I have to hold myself back so they don't feel bad. About games I have only entry-level knowledge in, because they don't have that knowledge. Feels bad, but I want to make sure they don't feel bad. You know? I have a feeling you know what that feels like. Anyway, I wanted to get I want to get unfamiliar versions of popular games, which is why I'm running Slash here. And it ends up being Sol vs. Kai anyway. Come on, dudes. The ABA is right there. Another character I really like. Before Strive anyway. Don't need to talk about what they did to the ABA and Strive. Don't often see this color for a Kai. That's like a different character. Would you like to guess how many Greed servers take place? Well, now round 2. 0 have happened. There's still... oh, there's 1. Even then... because I also had a XRD sign, and it didn't come up. And I made sure to set the system voice to Bedman. I think I just ran Milia. Because neither Gem nor Raven was in sign, they only appeared in Revelator. I don't think even Baiken was in sign. Was she? Yeah. I just like the Japanese voice. Really, really angry. Completely random burst at full screen. It's something that... and Dr. Justin selected the default character that player 2's cursor starts on, which tells me probably his first time ever playing a Guilty Gear, which is what I'm looking for. I mean, I want people to play stuff for the first time, but I don't want games lasting 5 minutes every time. I want to respect other people's time. Maybe I respect it too much. The last thing I want to do is bore people. But at the same time, the other last thing I want for a mystery tournament, the reason I have so many different games is, I don't want people looking at a game, researching on their phone before their turn comes up and thinking they'll get an advantage. That's why I don't allow any games to be repeated. I also decided on a rule. No more than 2 games in the same series in the roster for one given tournament. So I only had... I had this. I also had Isuka. And yeah, I had sign, so it's actually 3. So no more than 3 in the same. Yeah, not 2, it's actually 3. Because I have 208 cards, regular cards. And then I had the 30 black cards and the 10 boss cards, so that's 248. I said 256, I forget where I get the rest of it from. Either way, I want variety. I have a lot of variety, so I should have variety. Oh, I didn't even notice. 5-6 Talk is running Ram, Lethal, and Elfelt. So they know what's what. Anyway, another time skip. And this is the stuff. The only thing I know about Psychic Force is that there are motions, but you can do them any direction. So if you do quarter circle forward doesn't actually mean anything in Psychic Force. It's just quarter circle. You can start in any direction, end any direction. So there's full circles, universal commands. And there's full circle for the all-around guard. And then full circle plus all 3 buttons to sacrifice your life for more meter. And Big Bang Blitz in chat mentions an unblockable input. I don't know what it is. If it's an unblockable input, it is probably in the instructions if it's universal. If it's not universal, I don't put it in there. Because I try not to put too much information in the instruction sheet. I don't want to overload them with information, which is probably worse than giving them none. But I don't know anything else about Psychic Force, not even who's good. I know there were clones of Psychic Force and none of them seem to be any good. Going by the fact that every time I see one mentioned, the end of that conversation is always just play Psychic Force 2012. Or the original. I think 2012 gets more play overall.
Ready, go!
Even then, sacrificing your health for more power meter seems like an advanced enough thing where it's not worth doing at all until you get good at it. Yet I give them the input to do it anyway. Like, I'll name the mechanic as it's explained in the either in the manual or in the FAQs or wikis I find, and I'll tell them the input, and I'll tell them if it costs anything. I will not tell them what it actually does. I don't tell them what the supercharge is, just that it's there, which is cursed knowledge. But at the same time, I feel like I should tell them that if it's important enough to listen to the manual. But it's all my decision in the end. If I decide it's probably important, then I put it in there. Man, what I would give to I want to figure out how I can do like the Price is Right big wheel for the showcase showdown instead, but that'd be way too big. I actually brainstormed other dumb ways to select the games, like a Plinko thing. So here's something that runs on PC SX2 X6.
Good morning.
The new arcade PS2 based hardware emulator that came out earlier this month.
Welcome.
Trouble is that even though it currently has save state support, I can't get it to work in such a way that it keeps the controls working after you load the save state. So I just don't use them here. Not like I need them because these games start up quickly enough, but I'd like to have them. So I thought that, because they seem to know Tekken, these guys, they go out of the way to pick a mirror, which tells me they actually know this game. So I thought they would know what to do. I thought they would just press start immediately, but no, I had to do it for them. I don't know what that's about. Like, I'll happily run Tekken for anyone who asks. I can't get into it. Tekken and me just don't agree. Not least of which is because people have decided we're going to use numbers for buttons. I severely disagree with that. Buttons are only for directions. So in my instruction sheet, I will always call them LPRP and LKRK. That's good enough for me. It'll be good enough for you.
Win. Round 2. Fight.
I have other fundamental objections to Tekken overall, but they're not worth talking about here. Because, Virginia Beach, at least Virginia Beach, it might be all of Hampton Roads, but we've always been big on the Namco fighting games here, as far as I can remember. The biggest arcade fighting games here have always been the Soul Caliburs and the Tekkens. We do have Third Strike, but I always remember there being a lot more play for Tekken, especially Tekken 3, probably 4? Definitely Tekken 5 and 6. And then Tekken Tag. The high score tables are always filled to the brim. And Soul Calibur 2 Conquest, that was always 100% at every cabinet I saw of it here. Also, we had Marvel vs. Capcom 2, that was always maxed out, but what cabinet of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 isn't maxed out? I remember somewhere in Northern Virginia I saw Capcom vs. SNK 1. That was the only time I've seen Capcom vs. SNK in an arcade ever. I wasn't at a convention or something. And that was like 2008. I don't even remember exactly when. That same arcade also had Afterburner Climax. So I played one credit of that, that was fun. I had to use the seatbelt and everything. Anyway, the closest I'll probably ever come to playing Tekken is Street Fighter X Tekken. Because I'm also friends with Psycho Blue, probably the single biggest fan of that game in the world. Legit. Okay, that's 2-0. So, actually, I'm gonna pause this video here. Because I need to show something else. So this is the video I mentioned that got posted to Twitter earlier. Or this past Monday. Where is it? Okay, there's me. This is this is from a Twitter post. Let me get the link. This is the only video that actually shows the entire setup, as far as I can tell. This guy's a commentator.
Alright, Jill!
So I'm going to include this in my blog post.
Hit the good button!
Whenever I can get around to writing that. And this is basically what happened in every round. There's me writing the bracket on paper. I always write on paper. Good view of the wheel here. I think the guy behind the camera and this lady here, I think they're married. Going by the profile.
Luke, has anyone... Dead or alive? You got dead or alive?
Yeah, you can see there's two screens here.
Oh no!
I managed to
I don't
borrow
know
someone
anything
else's
about Dead or
portable
Alive.
monitor. Community support here was really good. 'Cause I got a lot of support from Beast in the East this
Jill
year.
going for Kasumi.
To be
And
honest, I
Hayabusa. This
didn't
is-
always.
This is lore match.
Because a lot of the years, I think one time I tried to run a tournament, I was in the back of the
I think they're
hall.
siblings.
Back here. Yeah, that's the whole video. It's only 53 seconds long. Okay, so... back to this video. Oh, hang on, I gotta... Okay. Anyway, I'm about to see that again here. They actually had audio, and I didn't. It's a different angle. So, PS1, Dead or Alive 1. I think this is the one that got ported to arcades as Dead or Alive++. But also, you see how the custom numbers go up to 15? 15's a model swap. It just turned into a different character, but with this character's moves. Really, really weird. It's enough where if you don't know what you're doing, you might think you picked a different character by accident until you start using moves. How come they don't do more model swap mods like this anymore? It's easy to forget exactly who you're using, but it'd be funny. Because, I think... I remember there were, for Soul Calibur 3, there were Game Shark codes to swap your model. And it worked for the most part. Why can't we do that now? I was thinking about putting the Saturn version, which is a lot different. The PS1 version added a lot of stuff. Like INA. Sweet. And I also want to, I mentioned this after the match here, but it didn't get recorded, so, does anyone else think it's really weird that what the character selection is for Dead or Alive 6 Last Run for the free version? Because, yeah, it doesn't have the throttle. Thankfully, that only happened... Thankfully, that throttle happened before the round started. I don't know, I even have a big fan, like, a 4-inch fan. I'm right on top of the PC. Try to get the temperature down as much as I can. And a year ago, I redid the thermal paste on there, so it can't be that. I don't know. I think the only thing I do is just reinstall Windows and start fresh. I'm gonna do it probably the week after, because at least one person at Beast in the East asked if there's any other places where they can do locals, and we told them about Setting Sun here in Virginia Beach. If anyone visits Virginia Beach, we'll meet up there, and I'll bring my PVM. We'll play Dreamcast games on it all day. I'll pay for your entrance fee too. Yeah, Big Bang Blitz comments, age 99. That's just the save file I got. Beat it, nerd. I have to give a, I think all those champions on GameFAQs who make those save files for like close to 6,000 PS1 and PS2 games and GameCube games. What would mystery tournaments be without those? Okay, this is Battle Tryst, running on a custom fork of MAME that fixed up the emulation somehow. Since it doesn't work, I told him to just ignore it. It totally works. Even on this thing, it somehow works. I got close to 100% speed. So it's mentioned that, let's see, yeah, Elaine here is from Gaia Polis. And the only thing I know about that game is that the credits counter is 3 digits for some reason. I wanted someone to pick Pastel. I imagine that for a lot of people, the only thing they know about Battle Tryst is Pastel from Twin B is in it, for some reason. Pastel's also in Bomber Girl. Which means it's probably only a matter of time before she shows up in Mahjong Fight to Girl too. There's a throttle. That's probably from the emulator though. Kitajima comment reminds me of that one guy from The Bouncer, which I had in there and it didn't come up. So that's one Konami platform, arcade-only Konami platform that suddenly and without warning became usable in MAME. I hold out hope that Konami Viper and Konami Hornet will also become playable in MAME someday. So I just want to play the light gun games on those platforms. I want to play Wars 8 again so badly. This game would have been ported to M2 if that had ever actually launched. Why does it say winner in parentheses? What's that about? I don't know what the gimmick is to this game. There seemed to be some kind of, there is a universal input of back in G, but I couldn't figure out what it was for. It didn't seem like a counter stance at all. Like, it didn't parry, it's just a regular guard and a pull back. I couldn't figure out what it did, so I didn't put in the instructions. And there's no FAQs for this game, so no one else knows either. At least not yet. But the actual goal, the actual end game of me bringing every single game I can possibly fit on my little mini PC, I want to turn my local into our own Mikado. I want someone to become really good at games no one else in the world is good at. It can't be just me and Street Fighter the movie the game. Because I'm not even all that good at it, even though I say I am. I mean, people think I'm the best in the world just because I know some glitches and helped write the wiki. I'm not even the best in that game in the building I live in. I only know one character. I also don't have enough knowledge to figure out what distinguishes Battle of Tryst from other 3D fighting games that use 3 buttons, especially in '98. Virtua Fighter 3 was already out at this point. But this isn't a team game. That was really close. I suppose people just need to play it to figure it out. I'm sure they are right this minute. Someone's researching it. But I also did not dare to use save states for platforms this newly emulated. Where I can't use save states, I'll do a short task to get to characters like this quickly as possible. And mess around in the operator menu if I have to. So I have the batch file, delete NVRAM, and then load the playback file to set up the options and do what needs to be done. And somehow people know to lay their hands off the controller until that's finished. And this is a new legacy version. An attempt to rebalance Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. It also puts Akuma right there in the character select, but he's still banned. I should probably mention that if you press start on a character, then the next stage becomes their stage. Except I don't really need to put that in the instruction sheet because that's not relevant to gameplay, and I don't want to put too much on there. Because the more reading they have to do, the less they're engaged. The only relevant control instructions, which are right in yellow text as a highlighter, is how to actually select your character if it's not in the button layout. Like sometimes you have to press start, or sometimes you have to press start at specific time, because some of the console versions have the handicap screen and the only way to exit it is to press start, which was probably obvious back in the 90s, but not anymore. So I have to restore that knowledge. Seems... Yeah, I need to play more Super Turbo. I need to run real Balrog. I know Street Fighter the movie, the game, that Balrog is not real Balrog. Yet he's good training wheels for charge characters. I honestly figured out how to do charge characters thanks to Street Fighter the movie, the game. I never thought I would say that, but now I need to do it for real because the charge period to Street Fighter the movie, the game is 56 frames or so. Only a second compared to 2 seconds. I just really like running Balrog in any game he's in. Except SVC Chaos, he just feels wrong there. There's a 5-6 Taka fan in the chat there. Nope, gotta do that later if you want to get the projectile invincibility. Because an important thing to point out about Street Fighter the movie, the game is, during Super Flash when the characters are frozen, projectiles are not. So if you time it right, they'll just pass right through you. Also, that win quote is new, I'm pretty sure. Another time skip. And there's me showing off the wheel for DJ Tatsujin, who had asked about it in the chat. But don't get good exposure so it's blown out, but they get the idea. And someone else got much better video of it anyway. So there's Who Dad, I'll just spoil. He won the previous tournaments I run before. So he makes it to grand finals. I feel like I shouldn't have to bury the lead with that. Here's another game where I set Astra Superstars to event mode, so you don't have to do anything. But STV games on MAME, save states don't work with it. Or they do work, but you have to wait till after all the warning and the boot up screens before you can load save states. Same with Taito F3. So I just don't bother. I just have to tell people wait 10 seconds. And then I also during that time skip I also tried to launch Idol Showdown. I had controller problems, so I aborted it, and someone was asking about it. So you can see there in the history, it's in there because I attempted to launch it, but that's another weakness of the history scroll. I have to manually edit it to remove it. And again, I'm doing all this by myself, and I'm watching the game, monitoring OBS, watching the chat. I can't actually maintain all of that myself. I need a staff. I need to train them, and I can't. And then I explain, if something goes wrong, I have 256 games. I'll just play something else. Quantity over quality has been my MO, basically forever. That's why my layouts are so basic and unambitious. But I have a lot of them. I overwhelm people with sheer numbers, that's my appeal. That's the only thing I'm good at, is doing a lot of something. If you'd like to hire me, you can contact me at gxian1 for business inquiries. Now I have to explain to them. Timeouts go to ranking, not life. I think player 2 had less life, but had the higher star rank. So he wins. I saw Hudat's name in the sign-up list, and I thought, why am I even running the tournament anymore? He's gonna win. He did. But he always looks so bored. Like, I'm boring him. I can't even, like... Because, he has a reputation for winning these things. He's probably just really focused. That's probably just what he looks like in his video game. At the time I was worried, maybe, like, it feels... I want reactions from these. I said before, I'm just chasing the dragon. I love watching people's reactions to stuff they've never seen before. And if I can't get that, then why am I bothering? But this guy has seen everything, which is why he won my tournament from 2021 or 2022, when I held one of these in the back of the hall. I'm amazed I got anyone signing up. That was also the same year where, like, cause I was still, this had not been the big huge Mr. Game tournament yet. That was basically a prototypical version of what I'm doing now. For semi-finals, I thought it'd be a really fun idea to have all 4 players come up at once, and they all play WarioWare smooth moves. Specifically the game where all 4 players do the thing where they cut the ropes at the end. But one of the players was on crutches, and that got really awkward. Thankfully, yeah, it didn't really bother them. Because you don't have to stand for that, but at the same time you have to move a lot. So that was really awkward. So I'm never doing that again. I don't want to take that chance. That's event mode, so it goes instantly to the title screen and not game over like Capcom games do, which is really nice. Saves time. But also my wheel, like, the center needs to be sticking up the middle. People are trying to hold it from the bottom because it's being balanced off, like, off the edge of my stick. But I had to tell people not to do that for it to spin properly. And I have to rebuild how the stick works, and I don't want to do that. Or rebuild how the wheel works. Because, the center of it on the bottom is sticking out slightly, which is intentional. And I need a flat surface. I don't have much of one because the tables, there's 2 tables next to each other for all these community setups. But I shared half the space because there was bring your own console on the other side. Or else I would have used more space to hold the wheel. I didn't get to do that this year. But they gave me a lot of dedicated space. It was enough. Barely enough because I bring a ton of crap. I don't mind saying because I bought a little doggy cage to contain the setup. Because I need to be sure no one touches the USBs, because if they get disconnected, all the controllers repopulate in the wrong order, and that's really bad. But the real message is don't touch, and they got it across. Because I was wondering, and speaking of cages, we're in one now. You see at conventions, you see people bring their consoles and they put them inside cages. I wonder what exactly people are using. I couldn't figure it out, so I just one day, a couple of days before the event, I had an errand and I just happened to pass by a pet store, so I went in there, bought the smallest cage they had. It worked, so I still have it. Anyway, Dead or Alive 2. This is the DOA2 Hardcore, which has more stuff compared to the Dreamcast version that you can find in Fightcade. I need to play more DOA 2. Like, I want to play DOA 2 Ultimate, which I actually did play a little bit in high school. I've always been chilling for it to come back somehow. And I know about DOA Online, the Chinese PC version. It's too much hassle to set up. And there's no convenient way to play Dead or Alive 3 or 4. I know how big a deal Dead or Alive 4 was 2005. But I get the feeling that was just because there weren't that many big fighting games at the time, and that was their first big fighting game for the HD consoles, the 360. I even saw the official stick for it, the Hori stick for it, what was it? That one place in Northern Virginia. I forget what it's called. The one big warehouse. But yeah, Big Bang Blitz chat and agrees. Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate is the ultimate, and not just because the Ed he told me. The guy I know is that's his favorite Dead or Alive character. Yes, he's all right. Thanks for watching. I need to have commentary on here. Speaking of commentary, I find it really weird how many people know about this game, Hinokakera Chaotic Eclipse. I hadn't heard about this game until like 2 years ago, but this is a Doujin game from 2003, and I'm just astounded it works really well on modern Windows. My experience with Doujin games is, especially if they come from before 2007 or so, is that you have to patch it or do other weirdness, but no, it runs just fine. Anyway, one of the, I think it was earlier on Saturday, there was people playing this, and they had two different characters with guns, like two different ammo counters you can see there. When that happens, it basically turns into Wild Arms, the fighting game. I still need to finish Wild Arms 3, that's an hiatus. So I'm told that, I just finished chapter 2 last time I played it, but the following chapters are the most annoying ones in the game, so I don't know. I have to finish it sometime though, because Shows in the Sky second chapter comes out September, and I'm going to devote all my stream time to that. And if it's anything like first chapter, then it's going to become my favorite RPG of all time. I have full faith that it's a high chance of that's going to happen. And this is the point in the stream where I had to admit I don't have crowd audio. Also weird that Versa 2 for a 3D game. I thought Versa 3 became the standard at this point. It's also not taken for granted that Doujin fighting gives off time limits. There's a few that just don't have a time limit at all, including two games that come up later. If I was to run this game though, I don't know who I would play. Seems to be the kind of game where I need to just try out every single character top to bottom. Well, how did this game... What was the game's frame rate like in 2003, I wonder? It runs just fine here. But also, it seems like a game where you have to know combos if you want to do damage. But at least you can actually win rounds if you just press buttons hard enough. I just think it's really weird how one of the universal inputs is half circle forward D. Half circles should not be universal, if you ask me. And I forgot, the one thing that will not work if you don't use Japanese locale, the win quotes. Everything else you can do just fine without. Also really weird.
What the?
And it's a good thing that I have really short games like this to go right after the really long ones. There is another tournament for Samurai Kirby for the last few years at Macros, run by a good friend of mine, and I never managed to actually show up for those tournaments. I have not spoken to him. I haven't had a chance to, because I've always been busy at the time the tournaments go on, usually with my own. This game's neutral, alright. Good thing about this game is, even if there's input lag, it affects both players equally. Like, this is probably the simplest possible versus game you could possibly make. All in presentation. Maybe I'll experiment with the one in Kirby's Adventure, the cowboy one. What I need to do is allow all 8 buttons Because the instruction sheet just says attack, 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 attack. And it's only the face buttons. I need to make all the buttons become face buttons. So you can just slam your palm on the thing if you want. You want to just tap a button, or do you want to slap your hand on all the buttons and hope one of them goes in first? That's your choice. Like buttons can take it. So I always like the idea, and certain other people will deliberately get a foul to throw off the rhythm of the other player, but I have to wonder how well that actually works. Also, you get ties. Ties are always hype, no matter how many times they happen, because it means these players are equally matched. Oh, I think like 10 frames is like average fastest reaction time you can expect for people around these people's age. Anything faster is for young people. Or
Hey, come on!
KI2. I think I tried out Killer Instinct Gold and wasn't satisfied with performance. Hello, another no man. I also had the Game Boy version of Killer Instinct. That didn't come up. Also Super Nintendo Killer Instinct. I do not understand Killer Instinct at all. Not even the new game that people said is accessible with a really good tutorial. No, it's not. Also, I know about that Big Instinct emulator, but nah. Game is good enough for this purpose. If I can't launch save states with it from the command line, I don't bother with it. And I also can't tell, if you hear that crackling, I can't tell if that's the audio clipping or part of the stage. I don't understand how combos work at all. I only managed to do a combo once ever in my life. Because we had the Super Nintendo version. And there were ultra combos. My older brother managed to do this ultra combos with consistency. He used Cinder. Cinder been nerfed, but he's still too good. Yeah, well, they didn't know. Anyway, here's a note. This guy's at the bottom of the bracket, and his opponent didn't show up. So I played something. I played one thing, and even if I won, he'd advance. That was my original plan, was that if someone doesn't show up, the other guy will advance, but I'll let someone from the audience play a game, just so I can show off more games. So I spun the wheel like everyone else did, and up came Dengeki Bunko. I think it's really cool how the PS4 version comes with free samples of the light novels all these characters are from. I mean, that's just really nice of them. And this seems like a game like... It seems like the perfect fan service game. Lots and lots of details of your favorite characters. You read stuff. And also just... It's also just a pretty good game overall. Even if there's too many mechanics. So I picked Tomoko because, you know, meme character. I could not figure out how to do any of the fun baller stuff though. So I just flail around for 2 minutes. Also, there's no storyline. These characters all know each other because they're all under the same house, literally. In the same publishing house. And there's no ending. You just pick 8 opponents from a small selection, and then the game just ends. It goes to credits. There's no storyline. But they all know each other. There's character-specific dialogue for every single matchup, which is always cool, no matter what. Also, Akira has projectiles in this game for some reason. What is this, 12? I have King of Fighters 12. Managed to con at least one person who's really into King of Fighters 13 into thinking King of Fighters 12 is 13. Unfortunately, yeah, really sadly, I did not get 12 to come up here. And I do use English voices for maximum comedy. So it says Tomoko will never be ballin'. Not when I use her. I couldn't figure it out. I don't know what the inputs are. I also really don't like how the huge banners in the background indicating stuff is ready. I find that really distracting. The game also has this dumb stuff for every character, like dumb references. Like, some of them will even go as far as to repurpose the on-screen, the regular on-screen text boxes for stuff related to the character. One related to golf, where the combat counter becomes a distance counter, which is completely irrelevant to the game but important to the character. That kind of stuff. That's funny. I really don't like how long those things stay on screen either. Bench bet ought to know better. I have been made aware they're kind of busy with multi-blood stuff right now. Which means they don't get to do more of this stuff for the foreseeable future. So I only did one game. You can see the score counters on the top. I just put them as NA, because the score literally doesn't matter. Anyway, now we get to advance to people who actually showed up. I think Don757 had a buy from round 1. Cause the brackets I brought from printyourbrackets.com, which is secretly one of the most useful websites for tournament organizers. I only brought 32 player brackets. I had to look up the 24 player format, and I just filled it in from there. Anyway, here's another favorite. This game's from 1981. Not the oldest game I have, but it's a fighting game. And the sound emulation is wrong. If I was playing this in BizHawk, the sound emulation would be closer. We can actually hear the bell. But I can't use BizHawk, because it's not good about controller order. So I'm using RetroArch instead, which actually is good about controller order. So I put up with it, because I actually know how to use it. But I have a very good reason to use RetroArch when other options are available. I would not recommend it for any other reason. So they're supposed to sound like punches and not just beeps. Because, I don't know how old the Atari 2600 core is. It still does not do the audio emulation for Activision boxing. Oh well. Normally, last time I run this, it's like guys going like... shadowing the action, not this year. Oh well. But the game ends if someone hits 100 points. It's also 2 minutes, so there's a guaranteed runtime, which I like a lot. But there's also tech here. If you get them up against the ropes, you mash, then they go back and forth, and you score 2 points for it each time. They thought ahead. I think that was another throttle. Thankfully, no one was that bothered about it. But it bothers me. I could do something about it. Which means I'm probably not trying hard enough. I'm disabling services, I'm putting extra thermal cooling. Nothing's working. It always makes me upset when there's a problem I can fix, and for whatever reason I'm prevented from doing it. Even worse where I can fix it and I'm just not able to. Or if it looks like I can fix it and I can't. Anyway, I also deliberately put up a shader for composite artifacting. I normally don't use shaders, but for here it feels right too. Like, you should use composite video for Genesis games, for example, because those games are designed for composite artifacting. One of the cases where you actually don't want to use RGB if you have that option. More people are realizing that now.
Let's go!
Here's another favorite. Back home. Evil Zone. So popular that some people I know tried in vain to make their own version of this. It never went anywhere.
Give me your hand.
Now I was going to help with them because they were making it in Unity. That project never went anywhere, but they called it Evil Clone. But the appeal of this game is all of the 90s anime stuff. I don't know why, but I see Kea an awful lot in this outfit. I don't know what makes him so popular. I run Tatsunoko myself. Because the appeal of this game is all the cinematic stuff. Like that. There's one attack button and one block button and nothing else. Not any inputs, it's just all directions.
How was that?
Also a first to 2 game. But you're not winning rounds, you're depleting lives. But there's also no time limit, so I just have to trust that things they don't try stalling. Thankfully I have not had to do the executive action and punish for delay of a game. I did explain how to charge stock. This is how that one guy was doing it. I think the one disadvantage the English version has over the Japan version is no vocals in the opening FMV, but you do have Paul Eden narrating the opening scroll. That's something. What is this? I'm not entirely. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Running side by side and then some kind of reaction test? I can also never remember what the throw input is. I keep thinking it's down down A.
I'm gonna go.
But the one thing I will not write in the instructions is how to throw. Even though I will guide universal mechanics, important things like how to actually spend meter, I'm not going to tell him how to throw. Because there has to be some discovery on your part.
How was that?
At least it's something. Unless the game has a dedicated throw button. And then they get to know about that button. Unless there's conditions attached to that button. They gotta figure that out themselves. 2-0.
Oh, I'm humiliated.
Also kind of a weird design choice, focusing on the loser like that after the round ends. There, I inserted a black card. So that's what I did in the previous tournament. I started to add black cards to the wheel, hoping it would get picked among the pool of regular ones. That never happened. Even though I inserted a black card in the wheel, the black card never got picked. Until the very end when I filled the entire card with them. And the entire wheel with black cards. They dodged it every single time. I don't even know what it is. So I know what the 30 games are, but not which is which. So, for Darkstalkers, I've had Vampire Savior in the past, so I put Night Warriors in its place. Darkstalkers is a weird series to me. Like, I know it exists, but I don't know how to explain it. It feels like its history is a complete mystery to me. And not least of which because of the font choices. You can't see it behind the score overlay, but it uses the serif, like the hairline serif font that Super Turbo introduced. Which is weird to me. Like it feels like, wasn't Darkstalkers 1 described as just Street Fighter with Universal movie monsters? And then Night Warriors was something completely different? Something like that. Anyway, this is the graveyard. Also, I'm not entirely sure why the werewolf is named John Talbane. John Talbane feels like the name of an American TV show character, not arcade werewolf. You know what I mean? Sounds like John Talbane sounds like somebody from Game of Thrones. Am I the only one? But my only other knowledge of Darkstalkers was when one week my weekly movie watch club decided to watch the OVA, the Japanese animated movie. That was so boring. Like, yeah, I tried too hard to stay about the lore. Because it was all about Donovan, the least interesting character in the series, even though he might be the most important, at least I've been told. Yeah, there were some fight scenes, but maybe like 10 minutes total of the end. Not even 10 minutes. Maybe 5 minutes total was fighting. It was about a bunch of stuff I don't even remember.
Challenge me.
Yeah, a lot of the cards dispersed because we're in round 2 now, which I don't like to see. Anyway, Bloody Roar Extreme. Seems to be some confusion about this game. People think it's a different game from Primal Fury. It's an update. They revised the controls to not require 7 buttons.
Marvel. Alice.
And, I forget, is Bloody Roar 3 related to Primal Fury or Extreme, or is it a different game? I honestly don't remember. I think what I read was something about a review wrongly stated that they're related or not related, and everyone believed it for a long time, and it wasn't. Anyway, the only other thing I have to say about Bloody Roar is that I knew at least one person in high school who was really into it. And it's the only fighting game I knew they were into. I have not talked to that person in 20 years, and I probably never will again. No real reason to. I'm not gonna get into why. There's also the, Ultra Beast form, I don't remember the exact name. You have to press 3 buttons to get into it. But you can also spend life to enter that form. I also need to mention, which I didn't in the instructions, that to skip the replay you have to press start. Otherwise it'll just repeat the replay. Who wants that? So I need to add that. No, that's 3D movement. I did right in Bloody Roar Primal Fury, which came out in America, you have to use 2 dedicated buttons. You have to press L and R, which is just cluttering the control space. So for a long time I just didn't even consider it, until I did more research about Extreme, where there are still the sidestep buttons, but now you can hold guard and press punch at the same time, and then press up and down to do the sidestepping, which is a lot more civilized. Now you don't need 7 buttons, you only need 4 now. Guard, punch, kick, and beast. And you press, I think, kick and the beast button to get the extreme version? No, it's guard, punch, and beast. 3 buttons. 3 buttons, one of which includes the beast button to get the extreme version. And I did make it first to 2 because damage is low. Because if I made it first to 3, it would probably take longer than 5 minutes if it went to round 5. Another game where you're not doing damage unless you spend time with the game and figure out how to do combos. I don't think that's a reason to exclude a game though. So I just made it first to 2 as a compromise. Because I mentioned at the beginning of the tournament that 2D games are first to 2, 3D games are first to 3. Unless I mention otherwise, which actually backfired at one point, you'll see. So, right after this matchup, Buka, the guy in red, came up to me and asked me to disqualify him because he has to do commentary, and let the other guy advance even though he went 2-0 against him. So that's what happened. Dragon Charles, a good friend of mine who actually lives way closer to me than I thought. Also won one of my tournaments in the past. I came up to him on Friday and said, "Hey, you're playing in my tournament, right?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And I immediately regretted it because I just knew he's gonna make it to semis if not grand finals. And that's exactly what happened. Anyway, here's Tokimeki Memorial Taisen Puzzle-dama. So, the startup message said, "Take the chance," which is actually a line from the opening theme of Tokimeki Memorial. That's just a really lucky coincidence. Nobody noticed. So I like the layout here. You have to pick 3 characters and you're allowed to have duplicates because it's a tag team match player. That's actually what I said. But you only, you don't lose characters if you, is it? You're forced to use your first, second, and third characters regardless of the match outcome. So even if you win, you're forced to use your second character. It's a relay. And apparently, Dragon Charles actually knows how to play this game because he's deliberately setting up combos, which I didn't know despite how long I've known him. A lot of people tried to remake Puyo Puyo. They tried, but you just can't because they got it right the second time. This game never really caught on, and I think like there's stuff to it, but I think its upside is limited inherently. Also, I don't know a lot about, I don't know enough or anything at all about Tokimeki Memorial, and I should. Especially since there's fan translation of the first game. And at some point there's going to be fan translation of the second. So I don't know any of these characters' names other than Shiori. Because she's also a Mahjong Fight Girl. But in Mahjong Fight Girl, Shiori has never been buffed, ever! She came to the game 2023 in its first year, and has not been buffed at all in 3 years. So she's bottom 1 in that game. So... that's round 1. Round 2, they pick the second character, whether they win or lose. Which is another mirror! Why are there 2 mirrors here? Come on, dudes. I unlocked all the characters. Which actually does matter because all their drop patterns are different. Some of them don't drop, some of them push stuff in the bottom. I don't even then I haven't played this game enough to have a main of my own. There's one lady who speaks English occasionally, so I tend to pick that. Because gratuitous English is funny when it's done right. No, that's a really easy pattern to counter here. It's almost like, yeah, Dragon and Charles can figure this stuff out really fast. It's like he's been doing this stuff in the past. Still potential to make a comeback here, not anymore. Bad drop. Happens every time. You do not use your third character if it doesn't go to round 3. But if they chose to rematch that game, I have to I have to reload the save state because it continues immediately without picking new characters. Actually, no, I think it does. Because it goes to round 3. I would like it to start over though. Here's a game that people know. So you see that for 1 frame, player 2's portrait glitched for 1 frame? That happens on real hardware. And I just feel like I have to point that out. Anyway, this game is played with Saturn controller. There's 3 attack buttons and 3 jump buttons, but even though they all do the same thing, so I just tell them there's only 1 jump button. I flip the buttons over so that the attack and run buttons are on the top and the jumps are on the bottom. So the other way around on default. So this game is supposed to be the actual successor to Survival Arts. Survival Arts itself did not get ported, which is too bad. At the same time though, that game came out in '94. I don't think there's any chance for it to get ported. Allegedly there was a Genesis version, but I can't even imagine what that would have looked like. Also, what is mana? I don't think anyone's ever figured out how to use mana. Also, like the really deep KO voice, like it kind of reminds me of the demonic, the demonic voice that declares the fight in Shadow War of Succession, which is also in there. It runs fine in the Phoenix emulator. Because to use the Phoenix emulator, you have to create the config file per game. And then, because the emulator there is that you have to load all the files in a catalog thing. But what I do is make a config file, and then I rename it to the name of the game. And I start over from scratch every time for each game. And then in the batch files, I delete the current config file, copy the game-specific one to the default location every single time it loads. Because you can press a key to load a save state. And so I have to use the batch file to press the keyboard key virtually using near command. There's a timer, but you can't actually see it as a number. It's an hourglass. Now this is 2-0. I'm not really talking too much about the games because I know more about technical and tangential stuff than the games that I'm presenting to these people. Anyway, we're an hour and a half in. So we're already halfway through this video. So this is one of the games that betrayed me. I thought this would be really funny. My thought. But, because, this is the sequel to Violence Fight, which came out 89. But it added... Solitary Fighter added two things. It's sacrificing its really good name. The title. Is they added the boss characters, one of which is the best character in the game. According to the foremost expert in this game in the world, Stream Hatman. Also added Knife Woman, who runs in the match. And influences it. But when time runs out, it does not award a win to whoever had most health. It's a draw. If three rounds go in a draw, then it's just a draw game and both players have to continue. This game also ran 5 minutes because of it. I got really scared when it went 2 rounds and no one had won yet, so you can't see me and you probably can't hear me. You probably can't see the players hearing me that I declare when it enters round 3. I'm just spoiling it right now. When it enters round 3, whoever wins 1 round wins the whole thing. But it turns out that's what the game does anyway. But if it goes to 3 rounds, then the time runs out, it's game over for both players. But they can continue and choose different characters, so... I want to give this game another chance. Because, yeah, this is where I started to realize, if neither player knows the game, it's not gonna end on time. It's gonna run long, and it's gonna... Because, like, it's pissing me off as a viewer. Man, I just want to see a new game. I don't know what the audience is thinking. I'm told that to do his actual special moves, well, the heavy punch is punch and jump, heavy kick is kick and jump, but the special moves, which is actually explained in Violence Fight but not Solitary Fighter, you have to double tap punch or kick, which is specific to each player. And who's gonna figure that out? Because the input timing is specific on them too. I guess this counts as a beat them up with exactly 1 female enemy type. Not exactly 1 female enemy, because there's a weird fascination. I got a weird fascination with beat them ups with exactly 1 female enemy. Not 1 female enemy type, but exactly 1. There's only a handful of games that did that, including the very first beat them up I ever played. Anyway, there's another weird thing. I guess 5-6 Taka is taking Tekken experience and not going in for fear of taking damage. These players are just playing chicken with each other. It's actually making me angry. Now it's just begging them, someone do something. But I can't do that. I need to be impartial. I don't know what it is about these games with free movement where... Or any game with 3D movement, even if it's just 2D game like this, or Tekken, you just move back and forth. It's never staying in the opponent's attack range for more than a nanosecond. As 2 rounds go to time, and it was at this point that I declared, whoever wins 1 round wins the whole thing. But the game did account for that, even though it's not displaying round numbers. So if this ever happens again, if it actually goes to time where they have to continue, whoever scores a knockdown wins the set. If you have to continue. Whoever gets knocked down first loses. Like Pit Fighter. You know, some people think Pit Fighter has a versus mode. It doesn't. Unless you count getting to the stage before the end with more than one player. See, that would have been a win. Yeah, they thought he died because the health drained all the way and then went back up. I don't understand what they were doing, what the intent of that was. And if that fails, maybe instead I'll just watch the scores. Whoever gets like 5,000 points first wins or something. That is the first knockdown. Fire player 2 dies. I think this game just got rushed out in order to try to take a little money from Street Fighter 2. No chance of that happening. Came in, boy. Instinct tells me I should just take it out of the rotation, but it's too funny to consider that. Here's one of my favorites. Space Invaders, the original game, which came out for the PC Engine CD in 1995. The PlayStation had been out for a year at this point in Japan. If you look at this, there's no reason this could not have been on Super Nintendo. The only thing you'd be losing is the vocal anime theme, which is probably the only reason this game was made. The wildly inappropriate aesthetic is what makes this one of my favorites. And the fact this actually is a pretty fun versus mode. But yeah, the original game, just like you remember from 1978. I did some testing with this a couple weeks in advance, and we actually managed to make it around long enough where we heard more than half of the song here. Because you have infinite lives, you only lose if the aliens touch down, right there. By default, it's first to 2, I made it first to 3. Well, yeah, if not for this PC Engine CD game having PC Engine CD vocal theme. Yeah. The thing is, they move left and right really quickly. See, yeah, hit the UFO, both fields switch places. Yeah, it actually got into the first verse. Come on, dude. I'm not gonna get attacked. Aww. When then the very bottom row, all the shots will miss. Which of course you have to be quick about it. They should bring this back somehow. Find some way to port this game specifically. Even though, what was the rest of the song? Is it NEC Avenue? Because I actually don't know. Is NEC Avenue, like, do they still hold the rights to all their video game stuff? Because it's not Hudson Soft. Who owns the rights to NEC stuff these days? I actually don't know. Oh yeah, as I was saying in the chat, play Taito games. Even though Taito probably did not develop that one. Here's Advanced VG2. I like this game a lot. When I heard that Duck Station had the rollback solution was in development, this is the first game I thought to play, even though I actually haven't played it at all. Which I mean, I haven't played enough of it. I run Ayako, I run the top tier, so it's set to Handicap 4. I had meant to set it to Handicap 5, because this is another game where you need to know combos to do damage. But when you set Handicap to 5, they actually start to do damage where you can actually win rounds. And I failed to do that. So guess what happens here?
Round 1. Fight!
I think I like this game more than Asuka 120%, actually. And I did allow for the special move macro buttons because the community uses them. I don't like using macros on arcade sticks. For pads I use them because out of necessity, but I prefer to actually push all the buttons. But apparently this is an exception I just have to make. Same with Ultra Fight the Kanto 2, which I also have. Thing with Ultra Fight the Kanto 2, which will come up way later. I'm not sure if there's any standard, what is the most common standard layout? Because you look at the wiki, they list like 4 different control layouts, and they don't say which one is overall preferred, so I just picked one and stuck with it. I don't remember which one it is offhand. Oh yeah, it's A and B are on the top row. So normal attacks on the top, specials on the bottom. That's my preferred thing overall.
Round 2.
Oh no, they won by time. There's figuring out jump projectiles. I forget, where's Rami's tier? I'm guessing second from the top. But I'll run Ayako, who is top of top and isn't Kaori. I could run the SNES Variable Geo game too. That game is also fine. Okay, someone gifted a subscription. I don't have my alerts on. Another timeout win. That's so disappointing. If they did a little more damage, they would have actually scored a satisfying win and won in less than 60 seconds. So soon, next time I do this, I have to set handicap to 5 and tell them to leave the handicap at 5. That was 2-1. There's another thing there. So I just told them, since this is single elim, I don't really care who spins the wheel, because normally I have the loser spin the wheel first. One-on-one government. Here, what's the task here? Yeah, so, for this game, for some reason, if you set the language to English, it unlocks the characters in the middle of the screen. Leave it on Japanese, which is spelled weirdly in the service menu, the characters are locked. Set it to English and they're unlocked. I don't know why. So that's why I made a task to do that.
Ready? Tip off!
Because I use a task to do this because you have to choose your game mode between 1-on-1 government or 2-on-2, and I automate that process so they don't accidentally pick something they're not supposed to. And it's also not possible to have both players start at the character select screen at once. Or first player 1 has to get the character select and then player 2 presses start. I don't want to have player 1 start again without player 2 and then they have to wait to go back inside to the character select. I don't want to do that. Even those few seconds is not acceptable to me. So I do the complicated thing of making a task and then loading the task. I need to do a custom MAME build though. I need to compile the build to remove the OSD messages about playback and loading states. But I can't figure out how to get the compiler toolchains working. I tried doing it and then the compile fails and I can't figure out how to fix it. Because I search online for the compiler error messages and no one has them. Which means I'm doing something wrong and I can't figure out what it is. It's not worth the effort to try to fix. But also I use a build called Arcade 64, which is only the arcade games. Because there's a hidden feature to skip the messages in the beginning about the emulation being imperfect, so you don't have to press a button. Because sometimes when you press a button on load a save state, it also selects a character. Violation. Anyway, so I've been describing 1-on-1 government as, trust me, this is a fighting game. I brought it to locals for the first time last year, and they were confused. I told them to trust me, and you should have seen the crowd first time I ran this in a tournament, a mystery tournament back home. It was one of the loudest moments there. They got really into the basketball. That's totally a fighting game. But who dat knows this game, so of course he wins 12-4. Don't mind you can't hear them talking. Even if I had a microphone on them, you wouldn't hear it anyway. It was loud in there. Manbei is a popular choice, so is Dr. T. Why do I bother unlocking all the characters if people only ever pick 3 when they see this game for the first time?
Let's go!
Okay, I'm gonna tell my kids this is Dino Rex. Very first mystery tournament I ever ran, which I think was 2017 or 2016. Dino Rex was in there. I am never ever running Dino Rex ever again. I don't care if it's been memed into relevance, I'm not doing it. Anyway, there was a severe flaw on my part with this. In the instruction sheet, I forgot to see it's first to 3. So when one player wins 2 rounds, one of them will actually get up and leave because they thought they lost and they had to be called back. That was my fault. So I need to be sure I clarify the instructions. It is first to 3, not first to 2. That's probably the only big faux pas on my part in this tournament. It didn't, like, even though in practice, it still goes beyond round 3.
Fight!
No, make it any... That doesn't make it feel less like I messed up. This is actually a better dinosaur fighting game than Dino Rex. I do not buy all the people talking up Dino Rex. The game's just no good. Even if they tell you motions and character select. Yeah, it's funny, and the noises, sure, but nah. I'm not even putting it in my black cards. As a game, having annoying noises is not enough to stop me from doing it, but other things,
Battle 2.
Another game I also probably shouldn't run again. Rise 2. First time I ran that, someone found Infinite. But also, there's a problem with that where you can... It's very easy to accidentally change your handicap because you're allowed to do that before you pick your character. It's making me to the point where maybe I should just write codes to force handicap to be where I want it to be. Write some Game Shark cheats just to do that. They're worth the effort though. Yeah, they quit because the instructions said first to 2, which tells me they actually read the instructions.
Battle 3. Fight!
Yeah. And I realized what happened. Oops. That's my fault. Okay. Because, I guess I forgot we set it to... I think what happened was I had it first to 2 at first. And then I realized this game actually does allow setting first to 3, so I did that in the save state and I forgot to update the instructions. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Also, you can eat the other stuff. If there's dogs or humans, you can eat them off the floor and gain health back, like in Primal Rage. No, you want around. I think the animation just died there. You know, come to think of it, I don't think I've ever seen a Jurassic Park movie. And speaking of Konami games, I know about... I played the Jurassic Park 3 light gun game that Konami made one year. And it feels like a Konami light gun game, I need to play it again. But it's also on hardware that doesn't run well in MAME. Don't remember if it's on Hornet or Viper.
Victory!
Yeah, there's always a bigger Karnov.
So he went all the way to round 5 in spite of mistake on my part. I'm saying in the chat, I don't know who's good. It's speculated that it's probably whoever's just popular. But there's probably not enough research on this game to know for sure. Ooh, that is just too good. Too good fundamentals. I need new champions though. One of the other reasons I want to expend this stuff elsewhere, I need new blood. And I need it bad. Swift ZX, I think, is another player who had a buy. And having difficulty spinning the wheel because Fulcrum is not where it's supposed to be.
Let's go!
So here's another game that runs surprisingly well on modern Windows, but also no time limit. An anonymous gifter has gifted to Neo Antoine. Thank you very much for that. Another anonymous gifter. I need to get the stats updated. Got to update manually. When's the last time anyone heard any of my subscribe sounds? That's my stats. So I've been aware of this game, but I was confused with other games that contain Big and Bang in the title. Like Bang Bead. Neo Geo game that was also in there and didn't come up. There we go. This is 2000s Japanese high school delinquent fighting game as far as I can tell. But no time limit. I don't know why. It feels like they have something here and they just forget one of the most important things for mystery tournament runners. This game has a very specifically late 2000s anime feel to it. Either late 2000s or it's 2011, so late 2000s, early 2010s. There's one show I'm thinking of specifically. It's about this kind of thing and I don't remember what it's called. I'm always scared about games with no time limits because I'm afraid someone will try stalling. Even though in practice that never actually happens. They're too respectful. They're attempting stuff. But I don't know what I need more is people trying to learn stuff on the field, or the one guy who happens to actually know a game and cleans house with it. Very, very unlikely, which make it extremely cool when it does happen. Because, I'm sure, I always thought there has to be somebody at the Beast and the East who knows this game. At the very least knows a string. But I'm playing the lottery here. I'm playing human lottery. Hoping that that person signed up for the tournament, and then advances far enough to see this game, and then advances to the exact position where this game gets picked for their bracket, and then actually knows that stuff. That's what I'm looking for. And yeah, I had at least 2 people who know a lot of games, but it seems they just know more how to figure stuff out quickly as opposed to knowing specific stuff. I think what I need to do next year, the next tournament, is don't worry so much about having so many fighting games. But I only had about 30 or so non-fighting games. I need to get more. I hesitated to insert non-fighting games early in the bracket. Because I was thinking about the players in Cleveland, maybe they came here to play fighting games, and it wouldn't be fair to the people who, get guaranteed get fighting games early, and because the people at the bottom of the bracket start getting something else. If it was double elimination, I'd be thinking differently. But this is one fear. Combination of no time limit and low damage without combos. And I did tell them about the button input to collect all the gems on the ground at once. But you can do it any time, but at least you're vulnerable. I guess this is an English translation patch. Which I didn't know I had.
Let's go!
Here's another fast game. A fast game to immediately follow a game with no time limit, with low damage. This game has a very fast time limit and extremely high damage. I did tell them that the load icon at the top has more characters who are legal, which includes Bruce Buffer and Card Girl. And they just didn't. So I think around the time this game came out was UFC 27, I think, which is when they changed the rules. So I like to think that your performance in this game depends on how well do you know UFC 27. I'm not into MMA at all, but I know people who are. I'd watch it if it was anything like this. Although I did once watch, one show of, and that's it. I did watch one show of Strike Force, and I liked what I saw, but that promotion didn't last. Yeah, I deliberately have games that can last 30 seconds. It's over before they know it. I had to be careful not to put those in round 1. So I don't want people feeling they got cheated playing 2 games back to back. Less than 2 minutes total of game time. I think what I want to do next time I do this, instead of 32 player single elimination, 16 player double elimination, or if I get a lot of clout, 32 player double elimination over 2 days. That would be the ultimate. But it means I can't do anything at all for the entire weekend because I'm just spending my entire time running tournaments and not playing anything. I need to hire a guy.
Fate conspired to arrange.
So here's another fun mini game. I didn't invent this, but another friend of mine did. It's just extra verses, so all the weapons have their special effects turned on, and you're forced to run charade. Thankfully, the save state does not lock the first weapons, the RNG for the first weapons that come up, which is good. Namco thought ahead there. Another game I had was Soul Calibur 3, the Resurrected Arcade Edition hack, where we do the same role with Olkadan, but it's versus rules and not as it's extra versus weapon effects aren't as funny.
Charade.
Also funny there's loading times between rounds. How come no one's making games that look exactly like this? Like this art style, this early 2000s graphics, aged extremely well. 25 years on, this still looks really good. I don't think there's ever been a period in history where this did not look good.
Charade. Battle 3. Fight.
Yeah, Soul Calibur 1 is probably the... I think Soul Calibur 1 is still the highest rated fighting game in Metacritic history. Like 98 out of 100. I think Soul Calibur 2 is better though. Not just because they introduced Cassandra. It was my main. I've been trying other characters out though. I should run the bigger dudes because I like the big dudes and the big buttons. But we prefer the GameCube version where we live. Mostly because of Link, but I also like it because it loads the fastest. I remember at least one person, they saw this in the attract mode and said, "Man, you got toe ball?" And then they went in there and... I don't remember if they actually managed to play toe ball. But they saw it and someone recognized. And this game came out 2003. 3 years after the PS2 came out, they were still making games like this on PS1. Dimps. I'm told there's a, I think it was a Rurouni Kenshin game that plays like this, but this is better. But this localization is pretty lazy. Bare minimum. And they translate the names, they translate the stages. and the win quotes, and not much else.
身の程知らずが
Interesting character choices here. It's almost like they know the show. As for me, I watched it back then because it was Adult Swim and it was anime. But the only thing I actually liked about Inuyasha was the ending themes. I really like those songs. They're using the it feels like they're using the same what do they call this graphic style where they move around parts of a sprite like a Genesis game, but it feels more advanced here. Yet it doesn't feel like it, like Rumblefish used it to an extreme, but it doesn't feel like that here. No, damage is low. I don't think so much damage is low, it's just that the life meters are small. I like the background effect, it's pretty smooth. Better be for 2003. Speaking of 2003, I wanted to get Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Battle 22, which I think was also 2003 or 2004. I remember seeing the TV commercials for it on Toonami. That game came out like what, 1995 in Japan and came out 2003 or 2004 in America. It was just cashing in. On the PS1, years after the PS2 was out, and I thought, are they actually selling PS1 game in 2004? They were. It got hideous reviews that it deserved because that game was nearly a decade old at the time it came out in America. But the game also does not have a timer, so I don't include it. Maybe I should. How bad could it be? And also, what are you doing releasing console fighting game in 94, 95 without a time limit? Come on, dudes. I know Dragon Ball Z Hyper Dimension and Super Nintendo did the same thing. They didn't learn their lesson. Anyway, Inuyasha, I don't remember much about it.
貴様程度の力など片腕のみで十分
They ever make fighting game based on Tenchi Muyo? I feel like they could. Okay, Care Ball 17 advanced because of schedule conflict. And we're already in round 3.
Good luck!
There's only an hour left in this video. Here's Taito F3, no save states allowed or you won't get audio. And I just do that just to get here. And another mirror. Why are there so many mirrors? Boxing. Uncomfortably close together. Interesting aesthetic choice with the giant timer on there, like real boxing, I guess. So for this game, everything's negative edge. You have to hold the button down and then release to do the punch, because you hold the button down to guard. So if you want to block punches, you hold the button down, then you release the punch. Kinda like Weapon Lord, except that doesn't feel as bad. This game also has really, really weird inputs, like upward half circles, for example, or half circle starting on a diagonal, ending on another diagonal. Stuff like that. No one's ever gonna figure that out. So this game works on 3 downs. If you run out of life in a down, you get knocked out, but if you run out of your top life bar, you lose immediately. And I made sure to point that out in the instructions. I think KO and down is pretty unambiguous. And I think here the cut-in is supposed to be on the top like that. Taito F3 driver was overhauled completely in MAME a few years ago. That's still wrong. Unless I'm mistaken. Anyway, that's it. It's another fast game. I think in real boxing, they would normally not allow you to wear a mask unless you're from Mexico and you're supposed to have it for cultural reasons. I mean, Storm Viper's from Brazil. I don't know if they would extend the exception for that.
Do it!
Here's latest version of Sonic the Fighters Community Edition. You can tell because the menu's background is black instead of white. And I had to press the start button for them, but player 2 accidentally selected their character, mashing while I was intervening. I don't think that counts as them pressing the confirm button though. So thankfully you can just press select to exit quickly. They don't know that though. Okay? So I'm told that of all the characters who are off screen, the only one that's tournament legal is the one with 3 question marks in their name. And yet they pick Metal Sonic anyway. I'm not gonna enforce that rule. It's too complicated. Because why would you make a community edition hack and make hidden characters normally accessible, who are normally not accessible at all, and then ban them? Why would you do that? So no, I did not ban Metal Sonic or either former Dr. Eggman. Not that it mattered anyway, as you can see how this match ended up. I think it's still a really weird choice to have rings come out every single time. True to the original game, but it makes me think, do I need to hold on to those rings? No, they're only for show. Hello, Running Wild Video. You got a, I don't know if you saw, but you got a gift subscription. An anonymous gift subscription the other day. So you now have a bunch of Koran emotes, and also the Popo. And that. Anyway, I've been watching back my mystery tournament from this past Saturday. Because I don't have crowd or commentary audio. So this channel is gonna kinda be that. This stream I'm doing. Because I'm gonna upload this video on YouTube after the stream is over. You can see on the right side, inside the video, the game history log. I'm told that it has more in common with fighting vipers. I'm not entirely sure what that meant. But I just take their word for it because they played it more than me. There's my ugly mug. There's single elimination, so 2-0 until grand finals. And then they leave. I need to get... What I need to do next time is I need 2 webcams. One pointing straight down at the controller and the wheel. But I also need to mount it somehow. I need a long pole. Yeah, that's the big... It's an attempt to rebalance the game and fix the player 1 and player 2 port differences. It also changes a lot of motions and adds some weird desperation mechanic. Anyway, here's the karate tournament. Big meme game with a lot of explosions for some reason. There's the Karnov's Revenge Revolution page. It explains somewhere what got changed. You have to look at the source code and it'll explain it all. And this. Version 0.2. Latest version came out 2024. But it fixes the one extra frame advantage that one player gets, which is important to me, just in case someone who comes up here and happens to really know the game and doesn't get the player side they want. So I don't think you see it at any point at this point in the stream but I actually got the red and white flags that kendo referees have. And this karate tournament guy has fans, which does the same purpose. But notice that player 1 is red and player 2 is white, except the karate guys, the player 1 character is wearing white, despite being red. Player 2 is wearing black despite being white. What's that about? I wish I could make this louder. I can't.
1 point. Stop. Red 3 point. Ready, go.
There is the Japan version in MAME, and they actually move at normal speed at all times. And the guy makes the declarations in Japanese for maximum authenticity. This game is just funny though. You can actually cancel the blocking more often than you think. And it's also not obvious that when one player loses,
1 point. 1 point. Stop.
it doesn't show game over for player 2 except in the bottom of the screen. Yeah, that's the screen I was talking about earlier. I think that still right there demonstrates some form of what Mystery Tournament is about. Giant dude versus schoolgirl with spiked bat. Anyway, here's another, this is another game by the makers of the Dreamcast UFC game. It's underrated because it's never been ported, even though it's on Naomi. One dirty. You're allowed to get a hit in. You lose 1 bomber stock for getting that extra life lead at the beginning. Not that it means much, because are you really gonna have an opportunity to use all 5 of your bomber stocks in the beginning? Like in the entire set here? Because in single player, I don't think you ever get a refill of the bomber stocks. It's a limited resource you have to portion out throughout a credit. Unless there is a way to get more, I don't know what it is. But it's a lot like the game Fighters Impact on the Nintendo 64, which is by a different developer. But in that, you have a set number of life points and there's different ways to lose to different amounts. You hit with the unblockable, you lose 3 life points, for example. You're supposed to interrupt it. And if you get thrown, you lose 2 life points. So you have to counter it or escape it, which no one managed to do. And that's what you do about the unblockable. You stuff it like that. That's it. I wrote in the instructions first to 1. That's the 1. You know, I could update this. I added the scores at the top in post. I could do this live, but I just know that if I do, I'll forget multiple times. I don't want to do that. Don't want to mislead people into thinking that getting people's names wrong. So, this game's on PS2, but I got the arcade version specifically for 2 characters who are not in the PS2 version. Neither one actually gets picked. Oh well. Violators are subject to savers penalties. Anyone have a savers where they live? We don't here. As been pointed out, there's Toguro right there. Not banned. If Toguro is in the video game and you don't pick him, that's your fault. You deserve whatever is coming to you. Same with Yujiro Hanma, who comes up in Garoden Breakblow later on. He's in that game. I'm supposed to ban him. I am not banning Yujiro Hanma. Come on now. Something's happening over to the left. And they're not watching my tournament. Come on, dudes. I was envisioning there'd be a huge crowd for my tournament, but it's round 3. There's only 8 people left. I'm expecting too much. So, one of the things people probably know about this game is that in this arcade version, Koto, the announcer lady, is playable. But her friend Yuri is not. I wonder why. I know she's more popular, but I'm sure there's a good reason. But she's not playable in the PS2 version. I'm sure there's a good reason for that too. I think I heard once that her moveset's incomplete or something. Why not finish it up then? Usually it's the other way around. There's playable character in console version, but not in arcade, like King of Fighters 11. But then those characters cause issues. Oh yeah. Speaking of which, I was about to say that, yeah, speaking of King of Fighters 11, I also had the King of Fighters 2006. It didn't get rolled. And that sucks. I had King of Fighters 2006 and King of Fighters 12 with the funny English voices. Didn't get either one. I think what I'm gonna do is just put the funny stuff in the beginning in spite of the advice I heard. Just make it 50-50 funny stuff and good stuff. Because what I've been saying for a while is that my tournaments are designed to be fast and unpredictable. They're not designed to be fair. And yet, the same people keep winning them. Yeah, I like King of Fighters 12. Yeah. Of course Toguro wins, why wouldn't he? Anyways, saying is, you know, the only thing I know about it is that the guy who voices, Kyo, Peter Von Gom, also voices Frank West in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. So I just call him Frank Kusanagi in King of Fighters 12. I don't know anything else about 12. Or 13. Someone's saying in chat, someone's got to do the 100% Toguro challenge at a tournament. How would that work? No, I wouldn't say 13 is the apology. 12 is the crowdfunding. Because they were seriously running out of money and needed to do something. 13 was the end game. Because on SNK's website at the time, they published a big feature about the development process of all of those sprites. I think they made 3D models, rotoscoped them, and did pixel art over those models. It took way too long, and they had to make 12 to recoup some of the costs so they can make the real game that everyone actually liked later. This game's also in MAME. The Hyper Neo Geo 64 emulation works now as of earlier this year. No, as of, I think last year. Either last year or earlier this year, but it doesn't run full speed on this PC, so I just used the PS1 version. I really wanted to run Samurai Showdown 64, but it wasn't happening.
Round 1. Fight.
The only thing I know about this game is Tsugumi is cool and should be in another game. She should have been in Capcom vs. SNK 2. There's another ROM hack for Capcom vs. SNK 2. I think for the PS2 version, called Capcom vs. SNK 2 Pro, which among other things attempts to legitimize roll cancelling. So it's no longer a glitch, it's something that costs a small amount of resource. There's a bunch of other stuff too. Seems neat, but I've never seen anyone talk about it ever, so I don't know if it's good or worth the effort. I also had to write the instructions, make sure power is turned off, so you don't get free meter.
KO. The winner. Round 2. Fight.
Why is the announcer guy whispering? Another thing I get out of this game. Yeah, 5-6 Taka, despite just being eliminated, was nice enough to go refill my water, because I only had one water bottle. I was dumb enough to think that I only needed one for 3 hours of a tournament. Even though I've been doing this for long enough where I should know better. I was kind of hoping there would be like a big case of water. Like they have at MagFest at basically everywhere that matters. Nah. They don't got the budget for that somehow. There's Big Bang Blitz saying, not picking Toguro in a game he is in is an instant loss condition. Which is true. This game went to round 3. I think I did mention this is the first of 2 game too, because it's SNK. I also had Samurai Showdown Warriors Rage, which I thought was a port of Samurai Showdown 64, but it isn't. It's a completely new game. PS1 exclusive. Then again, I also thought Samurai Showdown Sen was just another name for Samurai Showdown 6. Also a completely different game. Also one of my favorite games to run in these. It didn't come up here though. Why does the Mash Punch on Joe look weird here? It's like they're not even rendering a model, they're just putting sprites where the arm is supposed to be.
Only one can win.
Yeah, I have the quote there from Time Killers. Time Killers didn't come up. Actually, I'm not even sure if I have Time Killers. Anyway, it's not obvious here, but this is Street Fighter 2 Special Champion Edition set at Hyperspeed 10. Which is good because I need more games that go really fast. It's another mini game, but it's been a pretty well known one. Even if I don't say so, it's in the instructions at speed 10. If you don't know what that means, you'll figure it out from before the round starts. I know of at least one tournament for this game. This game mode. How fast can you turn my sticks? I was thinking of also getting the Street Fighter 2 Genesis bootleg. That was from the version that Capcom canceled. The SF2 thing. I was thinking of getting that, but no, I didn't feel that came at a point where I didn't feel like adding any more games to my roster because I have to cut myself off somewhere or I won't be doing anything else. Anyway, we're at 1-1 now. Also, Special Champion Edition has new win quotes, but you can't see them in versus mode. Now here's a game I added, another game I added last minute. I just learned about. I'd heard about it in another Twitch channel, but decided to add it last minute. I think, wasn't Fuse Deluxe playing this? Or is it somebody else? Yeah, that's where I heard it from. And then I decided to actually look into it, and I thought this might actually have stuff to it. But it adds Pikachu, and you can see in the bottom right, but they said it's a limited time only character. Why would you develop a character and not keep it later? And then, also, why would you use Fighter Maker 2000 in 2023? Why not use Ikemen? I mean, I don't know anything at all about developing for Fighter Maker, so... Are there things it can do that no other engine can or something? Because it feels like there's more jank than features, especially in the 2020s.
Keep going, fight!
Also, you can see in the scroll on the right, the name Pokemon Close Combat didn't render properly because of an error in my scripting related to text encoding. Oh well. So sometimes the combo counter in some of these Fighter Maker games renders over the character. Sometimes in a fixed position, like here. Not sure what that's about. I only ever see that in Fighter Maker games. What they should do is do it like they did in Guilty Gear 1, where the combo text redraws on every single hit. I like that. Also notice that you can see that I moved the layout for the scores. I moved it down because if I kept it at the top of the screen, it would cover up the life meters. That won't do. So in post, I moved them down. I wonder if anybody noticed. And I move it back when it's done. It's one of the advantages of doing that in post. Yeah, you can see that number 45, poke question mark mod in close combat. Didn't have time to test that. I know how to fix that, but it's too late. Should be the end of round 3 now. So, Alien Challenge is just running in MAME. I was thinking maybe I should run it in Final Burn Neo so I can get the English character names, but if you do that, then I think you either get no music or the music is wrong or something. Either way, I'll just run it in MAME now. I still don't know why Final Burn Neo has English names, but MAME has music. Can't have both. I think I remember hearing that Final Burn Neo is using a hack, because they're using the same ROM, yet they're showing different text. I don't know how that's possible. I think they said that Final Burn Neo is using some kind of hack to get the English text, which doesn't make sense to me. How can 2 different emulators show the text differently? And why can't we just use another hack? Use a MAME code to get English names. Should be possible. Well, because they didn't know that this is a Drew versus Dougster match. Anyway, I run Steve Areno. Because it makes funny noises. Things are active for hours. Also, this is one of those games where diagonals count for both inputs. So if you want to do a DP, you just gotta do down a diagonal and then button, because it's counting the forward as part of the diagonal. I figured that out pretty early. Also, there's universal DP, but it's 1/8 circle back punch. All characters have it. TCG thing at Byte, there's a nightmare? I don't know anything about that. If there was TCGs at Byte, I didn't hear anything about it. But they treated me right. They gave me plenty of support. My tournament ran really well, all things considered. I got good visibility in the middle of the field. Only thing is, you can't see it in this camera, but I was next to DDR. What can you do? So here's the third strike. Makoto Mirror karate tournament minigame I made up. I have to use the PS2 version for this, because it emulates better than the Dreamcast version, because the Dreamcast version doesn't emulate well. So here is first to 4. You die in 1 hit. You start with 2 meters, you cannot get more. You have all EXs and all super moves available. I want to run a whole tournament with just this. It'd be like Samurai Kirby with more inputs. So I have it white and red. I should probably do it backwards because I think red is supposed to be in the right side. Or red player 1, white player 2. Because it's, I think you have to press start and low punch and start and mid punch to get these colors. But I've been tuning it for a while. I think this is where I should put it. Mainly I want to tune how many meters should each player have. I think 2 is good. Look at that. Crouching mid kick is a lot more active than it looks. That was not same frame, but it hit on the same... It counted as a hit for both players. Kind of things you don't think about until that happens to you. And we didn't get any fun Tetrises in this tournament. Speaking of which, I should probably get TGM4. Because when TGM4 launched last year, there was a bunch of problems. It got bad reviews on Steam. But apparently it's good now, because someone had it at Byte. I played a little bit and it feels perfectly fine now. So maybe I'll get it. They actually decreased the price last month. Here's Kanta 2. I'm friends with the developer, I need to show him this. Especially the matchup that happens here. So So I had to guide them to doing this because I wish they would just have a command line to go straight into standard versus. That's something that every fighting game should have. Command line options to go straight into versus and skip all of the menus. Falcom has that in some of their games, how come no one else does? So check this out. Player 2 has just chosen solo Kinoko. Guess what happens? And player 1 is picking a team of 3. Player 1 solo Kinoko on demon mode. I think this guy's never played Kanta before, or has only played it once. I think the meta is never use a solo character ever. It's just not worth it. Well, look at the character select screen. There's only 3 character spaces left to fill. They're not hidden. They're just not they don't exist yet. Because even though this game came out 2019, it's still in early access. It's still free. He added like 3 characters this year alone. Still one dude doing all the work. Way better one dude doing all the work than me. I messed some stuff up in my tournament because I'm doing everything by myself. So I got one of my instruction sheets wrong. I failed to get my audio fixed. How long does this round last, do you think? Just guess how many characters the solo Kinoko player manages to kill. I should have worn my Hisomi cosplay for this. I have it. It's in my closet. I wore it for MagFest 2024 and 2025. No, 2023 and 2024. Actually, is there any reason to run Demon Kinoko? You want her supers. That's it. Hisomi is actually really good. And always has been. What a way to lose. What a way to go 2-1. There, that's me showing that we're now in semifinals. I decided now's the time to fill the wheel with black cards. My best games. Nothing but the best. In double elimination, losers finals gets all the black cards because anyone who gets that far are losers. Gotta treat them like losers. But it's single elim, so this is the closest thing I have. I was explaining to them, I don't know what's on those cards.
What the?
So this game is a meme in certain parts of Twitch. But the actual reason not to take it seriously is because hits done last days for everything. So you can just forget about getting good combos. Also, at least one review said you don't need to actually play this game. Just watch the endings, openings and endings on YouTube. Every time I read that, that's especially funny, because I'm the one who put them there. I rendered the opening and ending cutscenes in 4K and put them on YouTube. So I thought it'd be a good idea too. Even block stun is just way too long. I'm of the opinion that Micronet has never made a good fighting game. People like to talk about Black Hole Assault, but I didn't include that game. That's just too messed up. I think it was this game that also had a hidden competitive breakout mode, but that game is not suitable either. I couldn't even get... I think the only decent... There's only maybe 2 or 3 decent fighting games on Sega CD. One of them is Mortal Kombat 92. Also thought about adding that one game that came out like 2005. Has been unreleased for a long time. I tested that out. It's not good either. Because it's incomplete. It's woefully incomplete. And also, no time limit. I need to get a mystery tournament. Look how small the crowd is. Maybe I'm complaining about the wrong things. Maybe I'm revealing my intentions, but I don't like that this tournament crowd is so small. I need to get a main stage for this. I need to get enough notoriety where people will invite me to other places and I can show a main stage and bamboozle everyone with this weird crap that is somewhat known in certain parts of Retro Twitch, but not anywhere else.
Be careful.
And this one, I think, I heard that this was run at Combo Breaker this year, so I thought, why not me? I actually like this game. I think this game would really be something if it ran on hardware that could actually run at 60 FPS ever. But this game runs on blockout hardware. I think this is a better game than blockout. Because I'm one of those mutants who does slide tile puzzles for fun. So I think I would wipe up here if I got to play this game for real. The only one in the world who would. Except for whoever had to play this in Mystery Tournament at Combo Breaker and managed to advance. The key to slide tile puzzles is, don't think of it as moving the tiles. You're moving the empty space around, and the tiles are just going along for the ride. That's step one to learning how to solve these things. There's more to it than that, but it's kind of hard to explain without actually having a slide tile puzzle in front of you. I normally do, but not right this second. Every time I see someone retch at a slide tile puzzle in a retro game, I just think, let me do it if you don't want to. Anyway, the objective here is to launch missiles at the other side, which you can do by clearing the slide tile pattern while covering up a missile. It launches that many at the other side. And if you get hit with a missile without clearing it yourself, you take damage on the board. And you cannot use that space. When in practice, you just die not too long after. So even here, when you start introducing multiple colors, when you mandate certain tiles be in certain positions, I think that's a natural way to increase the difficulty. I want to remake this game in Godo or something, but you'd have to use a different theme, and I don't know what that might be. Or just remake this game exactly with all the same graphics and make it run 60 FPS. Anyway, that ended sooner than I thought it would. I heard it actually has a Mr. Core now. You need to overclock the crap out of it. So I'm told that Weapon Lord also has a Genesis version. But for some reason I thought Super Nintendo would be better. So the big thing about this game is, like top ranking stars, everything is negative edge. Your attacks don't come out until you release the button. And the main reason for that is because it uses X-Band, which is a really early console net play deal. Now is the best way to mitigate input lag, is to do button releases instead of button presses. I'm not entirely sure how, because a button release is the same as a button press as far as the net stack is concerned. Because if it misses the release, then the button's still held down. I love that really loud metal clanging on something that is clearly not metal. So they're just struggling to find any special moves at all, which is why they're mashing. It looks like they're mashing, they're just getting the releases. Because what they want you to do is to hold the button down, do a directional input, then release the button at the same time you input the last direction. That's explained in detail in the manual. The only exception is charge moves, because of course it is. And this is published by Namco. Apparently some of the ideas from this game was borrowed in Soul Edge, but I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just mesmerized by the sound design here, because this game is not good to look at. There's too much contrast in the sprites. Which makes picking out screenshots for the YouTube thumbnail hard. Because the YouTube thumbnail is just a collage of every single game in the tournament. And the PC is actually secretly taking a screenshot once per second whenever a game is running. And I use that to produce the attract mode reel. I update it every time a major tournament happens. That was 2-1. And I really regret not getting the camera to point at the wheel. So, you might have heard of a fighting game that was developed on Mahjong hardware. I'm pretty sure this is it. As explained in the chat, there is a decent chance this game was not actually developed in 1989 because there's no copyright year on the title screen. The argument is it has too many special moves, but I'm not so sure. I mean, Typhoon Gals, or at least before this game, it has this number of moves. But at the same time, they had an idea of how fighting games are probably like. Probably more of one than what Galactic Warriors was going for in 1985. It's also mentioned later in the chat that there was another fighting game by the same company. The Last Apostle Puppet Show, which was all stop-motion puppets, or no, claymation. And some people think that game is a versus game. You look at lists of fighting games, versus fighting games, it's in there when it shouldn't be, because there's no versus mode in that game. And it's been argued in the chat, they should have made it a versus game. To which I said, they did not know what they had. They really didn't. That game's more interesting than this, because there's only... because this is like Karate Champ, where there's only one character. Both players use the same character, and their movesets are identical. Did you know in Street Fighter 1, Ryu and Ken are not identical? I think at least one of their buttons has slightly different frame data. Which of course means one of them is banned in the boss hack of Street Fighter 1. There's a boss hack that's played in Fightcade by a few people. You have to hold buttons down when you, as the map screen comes up. So here I skipped Guilty Gear Isuka. And I edited that out. Because it just doesn't launch at all, and I can't figure out why. So I should just run it in Flycast. Or run the arcade version. I don't remember why I didn't. Probably because it's missing characters. But at the same time, the main character to unlock is the final boss, who is extremely banned. I think it's really funny here. I mentioned this in the chat, but I think it's really funny here. In Game Boy Street Fighter 2, it has Super Game Boy support, and all it does is draw the border to show a glimpse of the stage you could be playing on actual Street Fighter 2 on Super Nintendo. Why are you not playing that on the same console? I think that's really funny. But it's also argued in the chat that this is developed by the people who will go on to make the Game Boy Advance version of Alpha 3. They also argue that it's not as bad. But at the same time, there's also Killer Instinct on Game Boy, and that one's actually decent. I have a hard time making anything come out in this. Still better than any of the handheld Mortal Kombat games, though. They could have got the Master System version of Mortal Kombat 3. That's also on the black cards. (2-0). What a way to get rinsed out in semifinals. So here I explained to them, I show them all the cards, and I say, you can choose any game you want in the cards. They said no. Who dat and Dragon Charles? I'm actually good friends with Dragon Charles. And I told them pick anything, but he said no, they wanted to be random, so I picked the games for them. It's also first to 3. So what I did was I picked 5 cards out of there, and I put them in a random order. I just shuffled them in my hands and put them in. So as far as they know, it was random. Which I've never seen anyone do before. They're actually turning down the illusion of free choice. So here's a puzzle game. 97 and they were making a breakout like. I didn't have time to explain to them. These characters are themed after the birthstones. So, since my birthday's in July, that means I need to main B for Ruby. This game is also, whoever designed the characters of this game has a real thing for circle glasses. There's two with the big circle glasses. It's one thing if you have one character with the big circle glasses, but when you have more than one, that's a statement of intent. Of what it's stating, I don't know. There's only two buttons here. One button launches the ball, the other button is for moving faster. That's it. Why not just use one button for both? I don't think there's any items. There's certainly no laser gun power up like an Arkanoid. It's a lot like Magical Drop. The only thing that's getting you out of here is fundamentals and game knowledge. And knowing that you need to break down classes of blocks that are connected by a thin stem. Like this pattern here, this attack pattern is hideous. But Hudat and Dragon Charles it has to be said, they're part of the same clan. They're part of, I'm pretty sure, yeah, both of them are part of Team Best from now. I think they're both founding members or something, so this is why I need to get this elsewhere. Because Dragon Charles wrote the book on survival arts. I got to play survival arts with them last bite. Didn't get to do it this year. But he was playing survival arts on Friday. Of course he was. I just want to get the instant kill combo from round start with Gunner, just once. And what I'm getting out of this is I underestimate the puzzle playing powers of the entire audience, because I kind of got cold feet about inserting so many puzzle games. Even though I know that some people come here to play Puyo Puyo Tetris, I don't know exactly how many. This is why I only had one Tyson Puzzle-dama game. So what you want to do here on the player one side is break that one green gem in the fourth row, and then that's the comeback. No, Huda somehow won both. So I skipped the wheel. I just insert cards immediately. Why shouldn't this be grand finals? I could have put in my boss cards, the games that are guaranteed to take a long time, but I was already running past 9 o'clock at this point, so I just had to go with games that I thought would go quickly. Like this one, Garo Den Break Blow. I want there to be a scene for this game because it's really funny. Yujiro Hanma is off screen here. You can barely see the arrows that point off screen. He is supposed to be banned. I'm not doing that. But there's also a lot of joke characters off screen, so if you pick one of those characters, too bad. You don't know it. They're also talking about the lore to this series that this game is based on. I think also, depending on the stage, you could also get early hits in if your characters start close enough together. No penalty for it though. I explained that to use super moves, you need to get a chain broken and you press K and A to get your super move. Even then, it's not universal input, but most characters get some variation of K and A to use their chains. And if Yujiro gets, I think, his level 2 move, it's just an instant kill. In that it does so much damage, you just die. Why would you ban that? You still actually have to take damage in order to use your super moves at all. It's also been explained that this Garoden and Baki, Grappler Baki are canon to each other. I thought they were the same artist. They're just about similar things. This game is also one of the fun tug-of-war games where, depending on a lot of things, something can do way more damage than it normally would. But both series also share a total disregard for human anatomy, or physics, or science, or anything, just to have two huge shapes of muscle hitting each other as hard as they possibly can. When I watched the OVA about Grappler Baki, it came out in the 90s, and they just explained they have, for the underground fighting circuit has the best medical facilities in the world, which is how they're able to come back from more. This game also does 3 rounds. By default, time limit is turned off. But I have 3 rounds in 99 seconds. I just hope that's enough. And I also don't know what happens when time runs out on the last round. That's it. Anticlimactic finish. Here's a Gleam of Force. This game is often called Glove on Fight 2, but that's not actually what it's called. The proper title is just Gleam of Force. But everyone calls it Glove on Fight 2 because it is the sequel to that. I played Glove on Fight 1. It's not very good. A lot of mechanics are just missing. This is one of my favorites though. Really, really mashy. It's by the developers of Melty Blood. Why wouldn't it be? You can see in the history there, Guilty Gear Isuka's in there even though it didn't get played. So I have to manually delete it and I forgot to. I like here. It says Gleam of Force Exhibition Much, not Match. And also the battle counter is 4 digits. Who would dare? Is it even possible to go 24 hours and get 1,000 matches? Also mesmerized by the 2-frame character in the background there. Just completely deliberate. It has to be. As mentioned, they're talking about tug-of-war modes in fighting game. The only other one I know about is the deathmatch mode in World Heroes 2. No World Heroes games came up. Even then, even if World Heroes does come up, I want someone to run Johnny Maximum just so he can make the funny sound when he dies. So much armor. Given how easy it is to make comebacks in this game, shouldn't come as a surprise. I love that, they just spin out. That's my favorite thing about this game, and a game with a lot of things to like about it. Exhibition Much. You know, I was saying that since comebacks are so easy to do, there's no perfect bonus. If you somehow manage to finish a round with full health, you don't get a bonus out of it. You just get the complete vitality bonus with no extras. I think what you want to do though is to get behind and get backstubbed as often as possible. It's armored. Yeah, you could have got backstubbed there. Come on, dudes. I don't actually remember what the 3 styles do. I don't know what's so old about old style, unless that's just go on fight 1 mechanics where you're missing the new stuff that got added. And it's actually called parrying in this game. Because in Japanese Street Fighter 3, what we call parrying, they call blocking. So they know. I think they also do the same thing in Japanese Capcom vs SNK 2. So you get the bonus for blocking, even though you're pressing forward. It's confusing if you don't know what's what. There's that backstub. I wish this game was easier to run on modern Windows. I feel like it barely runs because it forces 640x480 resolution. You have to do some patching, do some workarounds to get it to launch at all. I love them flying out like that, circular. More games need to do stuff like that. Only other game I can think of that does anything like that is X-Men vs Street Fighter. Virtua Fighter 10th Anniversary. This game, I don't think either player knows what this is. Well, who that does, but I don't think... Dragon Charles looks like he never played it before. You know, the funny thing is, Dragon Charles once showed me Verdict Guilty. Showed me just how solved that game is. So I thought about putting it in here, but that game just doesn't want to be controlled. That game's controller problems are like nothing I've ever seen. Man, I need to play more Virtua Fighter. If only there was a... No, never mind. Imagine getting good at Virtua Fighter, but you only get good at this one. The side attraction game. So I think, because it's Virtua Fighter 4. This is a bonus feature in Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution on PS2. It's never been ported to anything else. And it feels like just a bonus feature.
Fight 3! Ready? Go!
It's such a bonus feature that there's not even a training mode for it. At least I don't think.
Fight 4! Ready? Go!
These people actually know to do Virtua Fighter, unlike those guys from the last time this game came up. Or Virtua Fighter 2.
Ready? Go!
And they're not just doing wake-up circulars. They're blocking. That's the stuff. Oh, reversal of fortune. And it's the last game, but funny twist happens. I put in a black card last. I don't know what it is. And I immediately said no to that game. I am not putting Oshideshi Zintrick in there. That is just not a good game to end on. Because that game takes a long time to resolve, so I put in a game that was actually worthy for the finale. There was a... Last year at Byte, there was a Fighting Layer cabinet. I didn't play on it, but I saw other people I knew who did. Didn't come back this year. I also, there's also the hidden character's a time release, but the code in MAME, if you try putting in the time release, it pushes the time counter so far up that you get characters that just don't work at all. It just crashed the game. So I had to do a lot of experimentation with that code to get only the characters that are clearly intended to be played and no one else. And I think this game is one of the coolest games that's never been ported. Even though I'm no good at it and I know nothing at all about it, I think this game deserves to be released somehow. Apparently there's rights issues. There always is. I think one day it can be. Arcade Archives has worked miracles multiple times in the past. If anyone's gonna port it, it's gonna be them. Especially since it's Namco. Come on, who dat? Show some emotion if you're doing stuff like that. Doing that just to mess with me. Yeah, speaking of Eureka, I think I will get TGM4. It's never gone on sale, ever. It came out last April, but they permanently reduced the price. Well, I guess I will. But I should get Fighting Layer E, or Fighting EX Layer. I don't remember why I don't have it. I think it's because the Googie system feels too complex to set up, because you have to set it up in advance, and I don't like doing that. But I think that's not actually the case. Either way, that game's 99 cents now. And of course it goes to Who Dat. Of course it does. That says event mode. But the only Fighting Layer character I actually enjoy using is Area. And I have no idea if she's actually any good or not. Is she actually in Fighting Layer? She's in Fighting EX Layer. I just wish they could find a way to get Fighting EX Layer another dash to PC. The only way to play it is to play it on Switch, because it's only on Switch, which is extremely weird to me that, one, it was a Switch exclusive at launch. Two, it is still a Switch exclusive now. Why? Did Nintendo finance it? Because honestly, its performance on Switch isn't even that good. And here's the really weird track mode. It just advertises features it has, like it's a flyer or something. It has the features and doesn't tell you what any of them are. I'm expected to just figure it out because Eureka is that kind of company. It was founded by former Capcom guy. Anyway, that's the end of the video. I just leave this up for a few extra seconds, and I also show the photo of the champions, and the first place and some other guys. Also, I just need to get some of the last few chat lines on the video. Let's do that with the championship. Dragon Charles, second place. Third and fourth are not in this photo, though. Also, for single Elam, you're supposed to have a third place match, but since I only had a first place trophy, I didn't bother, and we ran past time. But this video is 2 hours, 58 minutes, 48 seconds, so had I been more strict about people checking in on time, or just showing up for the bracket at all, it would have actually been exactly 3 hours. And that's all I wanted to do with this stream. Couldn't commentate as much in the games as I wanted, but at least it's something. So thank you for watching. Didn't have any plans afterward. Big birthday stream tomorrow, assuming nothing comes up. So I plan to do it sometime shortly after 12 PM Eastern. I only have half of a plan. I need to come up with something. I want that stream to last 12 hours. I want it to last well into the AM. Like I managed to do the handful of times I got super into an RPG. I need to start a new one. That or just finish Wild Arms. Wild Arms 3. Yeah, I'll figure out something. It's not... I don't think I'm going to start any new playthroughs, but Splatoon Raiders comes out the 23rd. The day after, I'm going to play that. Because I played way more of the Splatoon single-player game than I did of the, actual multiplayer. See how well that works out. Enough of me.